From Chicago, a special baseball night in America on a Thursday night, and it's the Cubs and the Cardinals from Wrigley Field. And we're coming down the stretch here in September, and these two teams fighting for the division, with the Cardinals in front by 3 games over the Cubs, opening this 4-game series and opening a stretch of 7 head-to-head matchups between these teams over the season's final 11 days. And the Cubs, as it stands right now, tied with the Brewers for that second wild card spot. Brewers have a big league late in their final game against San Diego. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal joins us in a moment. You were talking about it earlier. These are the kinds of games you miss as a player being involved in.
Do I miss them? You play all year to get to this point. You leave spring training with a goal to get to the postseason. You can see the finish line. You just got to be a little bit better these last 10 games if you're the Chicago Cubs. Playoff atmosphere. Pitchers will be great.
Now, there was some breaking news a few minutes ago. For the Cubs, it looked like a few days ago this season was maybe slipping away because of the key injuries. Javier Baez, of course, goes down with a thumb injury. And then on Sunday, Anthony Rizzo rolls his ankle. The initial prognosis was that he would spend about a week in a walking boot. They'd reevaluate then, but didn't assume they'd have him back until the postseason at best. We find out a few minutes ago he's leading off. He's ready to go.
Unbelievable. Heart and soul of this lineup. Don't look for him to steal bases, but the fact that he's in there, adrenaline rush for this club.
You mentioned the pitching matchup. It's as good as it gets to open a series like this.
4-game series, if you're the Cubs, you want your best pitcher on the mound to try to change the narrative. You want to be 2 games back tomorrow. And what better than to have Kyle Hendricks on the mound? He's been outstanding at home. You see what he's done against the Cardinals. This is a guy that won't pitch with velocity. He'll use movement and location and try to keep the timing of the hitters off balance.
And on the other side, Jack Flaherty. He's been the best pitcher in baseball since the All-Star break.
Yeah, why did he give up 3 runs his last game? Because he had an historic second half. He's been unbelievable, as had the Cardinals starters. That's the reason they're in first place, the reason they're in this position. They, too, have their best pitcher on the mound, and they're trying to move Chicago away from the postseason.
The Cardinals sat at 500 at the All-Star break. Best record in the National League since then as they try to track down a division title in their first trip to the postseason since 2015. We've got first pitch from Chicago on Baseball Night in America coming up on Fox. Here at Wrigley Field as we get ready to go. Game 1 of this 4-game series, and a packed house filing in. 7 meetings between these teams in an 11-day stretch to finish off the regular season, and a huge surprise. A surprise he figures is going to give the Cubs a jolt. Anthony Rizzo leading off and starting at first base. Lineup for the Cardinals here in Game 1 looks like this. Top of it has been the difference lately. Dexter Fowler and Colton Wong moved to 1 and 2 in the lineup in early August, and they've been their most consistent hitters since. Goldschmidt and Ozuna 3 and 4. Paul DeYoung out of the 5 spot, but an all-star for the Cardinals this season. Yadier Molina does the catching with Tommy Edman at third, and Harrison Bader roaming center field against Kyle Hendricks. And the Cubs, John, have won 11 consecutive starts for Hendricks against the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's been amazing. When you look at matchups and numbers, he's got their number, and certainly he would like to continue that trend. Here's a guy that does not pitch with velocity. What I mean by that is he's still going to throw his sinker and fastball a lot. But the one thing he does is has a changeup that works both sides of the plate, a good curveball, and this guy absolutely is the definition of a pitcher. Pitches great at home, and he's hoping that he can pass the baton on to his teammate tomorrow with a 2-game deficit instead of a 4-game deficit.
Whole lot different. The days are numbered at this point. Magic number for the Cardinals sits at 8. As they've gone 41 and 23 in the second half after beginning the season right around 500 going into the All-Star break. The Cubs have dropped back-to-back games after a 5-game winning streak. Dexter Fowler stands in. Hendricks winds and deals, and off we go with a strike at 86, and that's where he lives.
I'm really surprised he took that first pitch. Fowler loves to hit fastballs, has trouble with changeups and breaking balls off a right-handed pitcher. So let's see if Hendricks goes right to work on that. Almost slipped right out of his hand. 2-seamer that he'll sink and move left to right, and then the 4-seamer he'll pitch up every once in a while. But tremendous changeup.
Home of the 1-1 pitch, and Fowler fouls it back 1 and 2.
There was one right there. He caught in the middle of the plate. So I don't know that this will happen because we don't see it very often in the game. But you mentioned the surprise, and we're all surprised with Rizzo at first base. Will the Cardinals at any point try to bunt, make him move around, test that ankle?
Dexter Fowler leading things off and swinging through a fastball for the first out of the night.
More than likely the four-seamer there. You see at 89 miles an hour. He absolutely reared back and let this one go at 89. It's well below the average miles per hour we see in the league today. But this is one thing Kyle knows how to do. Pitch to quadrants, pitch to his strengths, and always keep the hitter guessing.
One away for Kolten Wong. And this guy has really started to turn himself into an all-around player for St. Louis.
You know, I'm telling you, I don't know how much you can value that he feels the confidence in his manager has in him. May very well have turned him around into believing that he is this player. Right? I mean, there's so much quantitative information that we can kind of derive our conclusions on, but no one can know what goes on into a player, whether he thinks the manager believes in him or the organization believes in him. And this is proof right here, because his manager says, you're my second baseman.
And Mike Schill was his manager in Double-A,
right.
So there's a built-in trust there. And if you look at when Wong started to take off last year, wasn't quite to the level that he's done here in 2019, but his best numbers came after Mike Schill took over.
This should be a change up here.
On a 1-2. There it is, and it's grounded through the right side for a base hit. For the Cardinals with their first base runner of the game on a Kolten Wong single. The Brewers have gone final 12 of their last 14, and now alone with the second wild card as the Cubs fall a half game back.
Well, you just know there's so much built-in energy in that clubhouse once they lost their best player, that intuitively everybody, no one has to say a word. Everybody goes, okay, what can I do a little bit more of? How can we pull together? And you know, they're taking advantage of schedules that's before them, and they're trying to repeat what they did last year at this time.
Paul Goldschmidt stands in. You mentioned the schedule. They have by far, obviously these two teams facing each other over the final couple weeks. The Brewers by far the easiest schedule of the contenders in the Central. Paul Goldschmidt, his first season in St. Louis, 31 home runs, but overall it is below standard that he's set over the course of his major league career.
Well, you know, Milwaukee's in a weird position too, because if there's any hope of them winning a division, they got to hope Chicago wins while they win, which doesn't increase their opportunity in either category. So you might sit on the fence that you're just a Cardinal fan right now if you're a Brewer, because that's the one team you need to pass, the Cubs.
And just play for the wild card.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, what anyone will tell you is all you can do is keep winning and see what happens. And by the way, can we just, for the record, let everybody at home know, any player or manager that is asked the question, do you scoreboard watch, and they say no, is just flat out lying to you.
Especially this time of year. Long at first, one gone, and an 0-1 pitch to Goldschmidt is rifled foul. The Cubs had the back-to-back division titles interrupted by the Brewers last year. Hard to believe that for the Cardinals, they've not made it to the postseason since that 2015 trip where Joe Maddon's Cubs knocked them out in the division series.
Yeah, and you know what's impressive, though? They haven't had to really rebuild. It's not like the trend in baseball. The Cardinals are always looking to reload and establish the model organization that they've been, along with, up until recently, the San Francisco Giants. It's really was those two organizations that were kind of trading off World Series and pennants. And so now the Cardinals are, it's been a seesaw season, streaky at best, and they're in a position to end that narrative.
On an 0-2, Goldschmidt takes ball one. And you figure, I mean, you're talking about it off of the top. It's been pitching and it's been defense. But you figure there's still a serious run left in a guy like Paul Goldschmidt or Marcell Ozuna, who's on deck. Just the names in this lineup, They should be better than they've been offensively.
Yeah, and it's hard. You talk to Cardinals personnel and they can't really put their finger on it as well. But what a time would happen now.
Long at first, one gone here in the first inning. Hendricks to Goldschmidt with a 1-2, and he slaps it foul. The Cardinals haven't slugged, but one thing they have done is steal bases. Wong, a speedy runner, leading the National League in stolen bases. Take off, his changeup misses low, and it's 2-2.
Goldschmidt struggled on the road, which he probably hasn't had his finest year, but he's been hot. And to your point, you know, he's still got 31 home runs. He can carry the ball club for a week, 2 weeks. So can the guy on deck. So you're hoping that timing just gets him hot at the right time.
2-2. In on him and foul. Broke his bat. Well, for the Cardinals, we talk about the All-Star break being the point where they begin to lead the National League. But really, if you look back to early August, the Cardinals were on a road trip and really struggling, trailing the Cubs at that point. Cubs started to deal with the injuries. Javi Baez, Kimbrel's missed a bunch of time. Anthony Rizzo prior to today. And the Cardinals have had the second best record in the National League from that August 9th date, behind just the Atlanta Braves. And pitching, including the guy who will start tonight, Jack Flaherty, has keyed that run.
Been a patient approach by their manager and organization, and that patience has paid off.
Pretty close play there.
That one was really close. The timing of a base runner, you're trying to, you got the information on what a pitcher takes between times, his feet and where they look. You know, a lot of good base runners will look at when a pitcher comes to set. It looks like they're going to look at that. Where the tag was and where his hand is, obviously the timing of that tag. And we can't see where the hand gets to the bag yet, so we're going to need a different view, but close enough right now to make that call. And I'm going to say he's out.
Wrigley Field saying he's out too. He'll show it on the video board.
Now, I said I wouldn't make any more predictions at the end of the year because of the last couple that just apparently looked obvious that did not get overturned, that have got me confused and a few other people confused. But
you gonna pull the trigger here?
There are views and there are angles that we don't get to see that they're getting to see, and it has to be very obvious to overturn. And if there's any doubt that a finger is not between dirt and the bag or something, this will not be overturned if there's any doubt in those views they see back east. Well, this is how important this game in this series is, that you would think in the first inning on a play like this, you normally wouldn't maybe replay this. But every inning, every batter, every moment in this game for the Cubs is so important, and they're going to take this challenge. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm telling you, there's been a lot of those that may look like reasons to overturn, but it's got to be clear. It's got to be clear and decisive.
You didn't think that was?
Well, again, and of course, he's seeing that full live. And then the replays we get to see. It's the dirt, the hand, and the bag that has to be definitive. I don't know that you can make that claim.
So the Cardinals catching a break perhaps there as Paul Goldschmidt takes a ball, and it's 3-2. Marcelo Zuna on deck. Long at bat from Goldschmidt. 9th pitch coming here. After the single from Wong.
You would think he's going to be going, trust his hitter at the plate, that he's going to recognize the difference between a strike and a ball and not expand the zone and swing and miss. Cardinals would more than likely get this runner in motion.
Leading the league in steals this year. He does run a 3-2, a swing and a miss. Contreras' throw in time, and a strike him out, throw him out, double play. Things off for the Cubs. Ken Rosenthal, how did this come to be?
Great question, Joe, because on Sunday he turned his ankle trying to field a bunt. He was supposed to be in a walking boot for 5 to 7 days. It was a lateral right ankle sprain. Today, before the game, just moments before the game, he's out in the outfield, light sprints, agility drills, simulating leads off first base. He's walking off the field. I said, when are you coming back? He said, I'll let you know in a fax, like Michael Jordan did when he announced his comeback in 1995. We didn't need a fax. He was in the lineup. News travels fast these days, guys.
Got a great hand from the crowd, and obviously he's got a performer. This is potentially legendary stuff from Anthony Rizzo.
Well, he's one of the only guys in the lineup that has had some success against Flaherty, so maybe that's part of it, but certainly he realizes the importance, and the lineup for the Cubs much better when he's in it.
Flaherty's first pitch of the night pops the mid at 94, strike one.
Yeah, you're going to see some velocity differences between the two pitchers. Of course, Flaherty's got the makings of 4 dominant pitches, and he has been dominant in the second half. He's going to throw his 4-seam, slider, sinker, curveball, and occasional changeups.
He's quickly ahead 0-2. Part of the dominant second half for him, John, against these Cubs. August 1st held him to 1 hit over 7 shutout innings. And delivers an 0-2 to Rizzo.
The way that Rizzo is, I don't think anybody understands. There's nobody in baseball that could hit that pitch he just hit. That was almost going to hit him, and he pulled it foul, way foul.
And Chase is running the dirt here. Flaherty starts his night with a strikeout of Rizzo. Rest of the Cubs lineup here for game 1 looks like this. Nick Castellanos coming to the plate now. He'll hit second. Bryant and Schwarber. Zobrist was scheduled to lead off. Instead, he bats 5th with Rizzo coming back. Catcher Contreras. Hayward in center. The rookie Nico Horner out of the 8th spot. Now the numbers for Flaherty good. The numbers since the break great. A 1.05 earned run average since the All-Star game. That's one of the best we've ever seen in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, Jake Arrieta, when he was here with the Cubs, had a historic second half on his way to the Cy Young.
Castellanos drives the ball deep right field. Fowler back onto the edge of the track to put it away.
Not today. The wind is blowing dead right to left, so that ball was absolutely smoked, but he will not get the results of that ball because of that flag and the wind. Look, the Cubs took care of business against the Pittsburgh Pirates in what was double digits almost every game. The Reds frustrated them a little bit, pitched them great, and obviously they weren't able to take advantage of that onslaught that they were on a roll with offensively.
55 runs in a 4-game span.
That's unbelievable.
And then the Reds, like you mentioned last 2 nights, held them to 2 runs each. As Bryant stands in with the bases empty and 2 out and takes ball 1.
I promise you, I pitched enough games here where if that were the wind, it would be an 80% fastball away against all the right-handers and say good luck. Now where they're going to have their luck is in that alleyway. A line drive under the wind gets out. But anything up in the air, what we just saw right there, that ball was absolutely smoked, and it didn't even come close. So You see the gaps, they're one of the shortest gaps there are. 368, 368. Down the lines actually jets out more. So you can get line drives to left center, right center, and take advantage of a day like today when the wind, anything high is not going to work.
Comes inside, and Bryant unloads down the line, but it hooks foul. And that's got a boost from the wind.
And that's the other thing. Anything that hit up in the air is going to dramatically go towards the foul line. This park can play so big, and it can play so small. I mean, it's an amazing phenomenon on the weather in this ballpark particularly, and how it changes the way you think on the mound and the way you think at the plate.
And it can be both on one night, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's going to play small to right like we saw, but down the line to left.
It should be doable down the left. So again, you sometimes, not sometimes, you always pitch to the elements here more so than anywhere else. So lefties, try to pitch them in. Don't let them get that ball that will aid the wind and slice.
Full count. Payoff pitch, and Bryant looks at strike 3 with a fastball to the bottom of the zone, and Jack Flaherty with a 1-2-3 first on 11 pitches. Marcell Ozuna, heart of the Cardinals lineup, coming up in the second. No score in Chicago. New 2020 Lincoln Aviator as we welcome it back to Chicago. No score to the second inning. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, Ken Rosenthal. Kyle Hendricks able to face the minimum in that first inning with a little help from Wilson Contreras and a caught stealing. It's Marcell Ozuna open the second for St. Louis, and he's unable to lay off first pitch strike.
You know, these kind of games, which it really is a playoff game, when you get to this part of the season, you're trying to either lock in your position or get in a better position. It's similar to the postseason, and I have these simple theories. Keep the crowd engaged if you're at home. Don't let any inning get too big. And obviously, if you're on the road, you want it to be a dull roar, because those are the components when the postseason comes around, that every single thing that happens, the crowd's intensity is magnified that much for. Now, last night, just from a viewer watching the game, didn't seem like the crowd was as amped up, and maybe this rivalry and just the fact that it's here, they'll get more engaged and be loud. But that's up to your team getting them in a position to be that, because there's nothing better than when you're in a postseason game and your crowd is, you know, wanting good things to happen. You put them in position for them to be a big factor for the opposing team.
The Cubs unbeaten against St. Louis here at Wrigley Field this season, 6-0. St. Louis has returned the favor at Busch. They've gone 5-1 against the Cubs. On a 2-2 pitch, Ozuna watches it drop down and away.
See, there's the changeup that goes both ways. It's a unique way that he grips the baseball. He can make it fade away from a lefty and actually fade away from a righty. So he can make both sides of the plate be part of that pitch.
Hot shot on the ground is short. The rookie Nico Horner comes up gunning. Rizzo stretches to get it for the first out. And the Cardinals, John, the worst changeup hitting team in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everyone's going to be a good dead fastball hitting team for the most part. That's what these guys kind of pride themselves on. And so if you've got a guy that kind of is funky enough like Kyle Hendricks and can pitch on both sides of the plate, it's going to be your kryptonite.
Lone all-star for the Cardinals, Paul DeYoung, stands in. Take strike 1.
And you just don't see many pitchers today, right-handed pitchers, throw changeups to right-handed hitters. It just is kind of a lost art. It's more velocity and spin, right? They talk about spin the baseball.
Muscles it to center. Jason Hayward moves over to catch it. 2 gone. Let's go down to Ken Rosenthal.
Well, guys, Kyle Hendricks, 0.39 ERA in 23 innings against the Cardinals this season, and one reason is that changeup. St. Louis ranks last in the majors, 203 batting average and a 294 slugging percentage against the changeup. Last in the majors. Now, in the 3 starts he's made against the Cardinals, he's increased the use of his changeup, 24.7% to 37.8 to 39.4 in his last start. We'll see what he comes up with tonight.
All right, Kenny, and you saw those percentages on StatCast powered by AWS. Yadier Molina stands in with the bases empty and 2 gone and takes strike 1.
And I know the casual person at home, so why can't you just, if he knows he's throwing that many, why can't a hitter just sit on it? It's the hardest pitch in the world to sit on. The reason you hit changeups is because they are bad pitches in the wrong side of the plate, meaning pitch location is bad because you're sitting on fastball.
Roller to short, backhand Horner. Kyle Hendricks, 0-1-2-3 second. October 4th, WWE SmackDown is coming to Friday nights on Fox, and we are pleased to be joined by one of the superstars of the tour. It is Braun Strowman. Braun, are you as fired up for this as we are? Friday night starting in October.
Man, it's going to be unbelievable. It's exciting being out here today representing WWE to get to talk to you guys about SmackDown moving to Fox on Friday nights. Man, I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome kicking the year off for 2020, starting out here soon and everything. So, yeah, look forward to 52 weeks of us a year.
Uninterrupted, right?
Uninterrupted.
I mean, you guys don't take any time off.
No, not at all. That's the difference between MLB, NFL, and other sports that you guys are going to be showing. We don't have an off season. You guys can tune in every week, 52 weeks a year, for a live 2-hour show on the Fox. Yeah, that's it. That's WWE. That's what we do.
You don't get golf season like these guys, right?
I was going to go into that industry when I realized that there is no time to play golf because my shoulders, when you pin me back, they flip off. Like they don't work. So you can't really pin me.
Kyle Schwarber leading this inning off for the Cubs, taking a strike 2-1. Your first trip here to Wrigley. What do you think?
It's absolutely beautiful. Man, I've been very blessed with WWE to get to travel around and check out a lot of the MLB parks around the nation and stuff. And man, I have to say, Wrigley lives up to the hype of what it is. I mean, this is one of America's oldest and greatest stadiums, and it's really cool to be here today.
The 2-1 pitch. Schwarber swings and misses 2-2.
So on average in a year, how many different cities? I mean, do you forget where you're at times?
I got to looking at my my flyer miles status stuff last year, and I think I flew right at 720,000 miles. So, and wrestled around 192 matches. So yeah, they keep me busy.
Full count on Schwarber. What can we expect Friday nights beginning October 4th on Fox?
You know, it's just the excitement of WWE. I mean, our job and our motto is we put smiles on people's faces. I travel around the world. I absolutely love this. I've been fortunate and blessed to be in this position to represent this company as one of the faces of the company. And there's so many different things that come along with it that you know, getting to meet you guys, getting to come out here and represent MLB and everything. It's a dream come true, man.
Leadoff walk for Schwarber. So you guys take chairs to each other. You got to watch out for John Smoltz. He's got a bat. You don't give him the bat. You don't give him objects while we're up here in tight spaces. Come on.
I don't even know if I can move in here and swing this thing. You guys are safe. That's cool.
It is cool.
6'8", 385. I mean, I know you're a superstar. How do you do it at your little size?
Luckily, my dainty physique, somehow people enjoy watching it run around the ring and getting these hands on people, per se.
Ben Zobrist looking at a strike.
So I got to ask, when did you really know, or when did you want to get into this?
You know, I mean, every childhood dream of boy growing up, who doesn't want to be a WWE superstar? Let's be honest, growing up watching Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold, and these guys idolizing, running around through elementary school, middle school, high school, doing these moves, even though we tell you don't do this stuff at home, and I'm here to tell you don't do it at home. But, you know, it just kind of fell into my lap one day.
Swinging bunt, Molina fields it and gets Zobrist. Up to second goes Schwarber.
I was traveling around the world competing in World's Strongest Man. 2011, I was North America's Strongest Man. 2012, I won the Arnold Amateur World Championship. And then towards the end of 2012, I had met some of the recruiters for WWE and went down for a tryout at the FCW building at the time, before NXT and the W Performance Center was even a thing.
Tell me about the Money in the Bank event that you won.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, last year I won Money in the Bank. It turned it into a Monster in the Bank, being that I am the monster among men, Braun Strowman. And that's where they suspend a briefcase over the ring, probably 15 or 20 feet over the ring, with a contract in it that guarantees you a universal or a heavyweight title opportunity at any given time, any given place, any given day. You kind of cash it in when you want to. And unlucky for me, Brock Lesnar had different plans in his bag when I tried to cash in and come down and foil that. So one of these days, hopefully they give me an opportunity to get back at him for that.
Wilson Contreras fouls the ball off. You and John want to arm wrestle?
Well, I'm telling you, my shoulder would come right off, and I could come right back.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Henry Rowengartner's situation. We are at Wrigley. Snap his arm, and this dude's going to be down here pitching again. It's going to be great. Runner at second, one gone.
I was about to say, you still got it in you, huh?
No, I don't. Not anymore. I see a baseball, and I just start running away from it. But I sure enjoyed my time throwing it.
I enjoyed watching you.
That is inside, and it's 1-1 on Contreras. In a scoreless game, bottom of the second inning, visiting with Braun Strowman. WWE coming to Fox on Friday nights beginning in early October.
Well, the Cubs have got their own wrestling match going on right now with the Cardinals, and they're trying their best to play perfect baseball here in the next 10 days or so.
Hey, so tell us about Dad. You got a little bat and ball in your background, huh? Rick the Crusher Scher is one of the all-time great slow pitch softball hitters.
Correct. Yeah, I think back when I was coming here today, I remember stories. My dad was on Louisville Sluggers advisory board back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, and they would travel around doing hitting exhibitions in between doubleheaders of the baseball games for the MLB. And I heard stories of Dad coming out here one day and doing the hitting exhibition and hit about 10 balls on the roof of the building on the other side of Waverland out there.
Did you grow up playing?
I did. I played baseball through high school, and then kind of grew out of the baseball, started doing the football, more strength sports. And I actually played slow pitch softball for a while at a pretty high level, traveling around the country, but never to the level that my father did. I always felt like I'd never really get out of his shadow, so I had to cast myself out in the world and make my own.
Flaherty to Contreras with a 1-2 pitch.
I know this happens with me, so I can only imagine it happens with you. I go into a lot of gyms, and they don't have quite enough equipment for me. Do you have to go to a specialty place to kind of work out? Have you created your own niche? But
yeah, I like trying to find the old school gyms around the country. I mean, if I have to go to a franchise gym, I will, just to get a workout in. But that's one of the fun things about our schedule. We travel around. I get to see so many different places. I'm in a different gym 4 days a week. So I like trying to find the old school powerlifting, bodybuilding gyms. Because that's where I made a name for myself, was in the gym, doing the strongman and everything. So I got to stick with my roots.
On a 2-2, Contreras swings and misses. This is your first trip to Wrigley. We want to let you go enjoy it. We can't wait. October 4th, it all begins on Fox. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it, man.
Thank you, guys.
So Flaherty gets Contreras, and it'll be up to Jason Hayward here with 2 gone. In a scoreless game, second inning.
Jack Flaherty's been good in just about every situation, including with runners in scoring position. Not giving up much at all.
The opponent's hitting just 198 in these situations. Gets even better like this with 2 out. His first one to Hayward, hit on the ground, foul.
Well, he has so many pitches he can go to. That makes it a nightmare for the hitter, and he's locating most of those pitches. So fastball 94 and above. It looks like his mechanics are just natural to him. I mean, he looks like he could pitch all game, which is part of the deal, but repeating those mechanics and throwing pitches in the same, out of the same release point is that's the key.
Here's his 0-1. A crackback flare to second, caught by Wong. And the inning is over. Cubs unable to take advantage of the leadoff base runner. No score after 2. Both pitchers pretty good through 2 innings. No score to the 3rd. Now Hendricks faced the bottom of the Cardinals order, and the rookie Tommy Edman leading things off, taking ball one.
He's been unbelievable. I mean, every team that has success and goes to a playoff run has to have some unexpected performances. Your players, great players, got to be great, but you get players to do stuff like this.
Like homered against Josh Hader and Max Scherzer in the same week.
I'm telling you.
I mean, man.
You got to have moments like that, and that's when you know your team's in a good flow and everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Leading off the third and ripping a ball down the right field line into the wind and hooking foul. Just yesterday, the home run against Scherzer, he had an outfield assist. He's played mostly third base, but getting it done wherever they put him.
That right there is dirty against one of the best. That was a huge series for St. Louis. They took care of business at home.
That stroke to right and a base hit for Edman to open the third. He'll hang on with a long single. Time for a game break. Here's Amber Theo Harris. All right, Amber, and yeah, like we talked about, the remaining schedule for Milwaukee by far the easiest. They go Pittsburgh and then at Cincinnati, at Colorado to finish. Check on Edman as Harrison Bader stands in.
Bader's looking to hit a fastball for sure. That's where he's got most of his power against right-handers. He struggles with breaking pitches off of right-handed pitchers. Now, Kyle Hendricks really only has the breaking ball as his quote-unquote breaking pitches. Usually slider and curveball fall in that category.
Here's the upcoming Milwaukee schedule we're talking about. All that's left is a little more than a week in the regular season. Best division race in baseball here in the Central. Ken Rosenthal letting us know that Lorenzo Cain left today's game with ankle discomfort. Of course, already without Christian Yelich. Everybody deals with them. Everybody deals with the injuries, but a lot of times it becomes who is healthiest down the stretch.
It's a long grind. It's a long grind, and you just want to be healthy at the end is right. There are so many things that can change in a hurry after a great body of work established by your team or your organization.
Hendricks to Bader with the 0-2. That's ball one. Harrison Bader, one of the best defensive center fielders in baseball, but because the Cardinals were lacking for offense as badly as they were and still are for the most part, they couldn't afford to deal with it anymore and sent him to AAA. Worked on his swing. It was a mental reset. And he's not been great, but he's been better since coming back, and at least good enough where they can live with the offense in order to get his glove in there.
And really, the Cardinals have had a few of those players go through that. You know, even over the last few years, where locked in, get up, called up, locked in, then they lose it for a while, get sent down. Matt Carpenter has had a rough stretch, if you will, of one of the better hitters in their organization struggle offensively. We already talked about, and you talked about Wong's success and how the confidence and just the revival of his year. You think about a lot of the outfielders that have come and gone for the Cardinals. It's an interesting dynamic, whether it's Tony Pham or Grichuk, or they seem to have these strong outfielders that look like they could hit the ball to the moon, right? And play defense. There's a guy right there that's been streaky and can get hot at the plate, but maybe positionally is a little out of position.
Overall, what they've lacked in offense, they've made up for with their defense and their pitching.
Well, a couple months ago, these two teams were hooking up and got a chance to talk to that manager right there for the Cardinals, Mike Schilt, and he talked about then, 2-3 months ago, then. I am asking our pitchers, I'm telling them to go deeper in the game. I want them to not look over their shoulder and just look to the bullpen. And he was trying to create a process going then about getting his pitchers ready. They were not at that point. They were struggling. They were up and down. They were 5 games back at one point. Well, that process has paid off, and that pitching staff has taken them to this level, especially at home. They've been dominant. And that whole philosophical training is starting to become more of their regiment.
There goes Edman on ball 4. The first 2 Cardinals have reached here in the 3rd. First walk issued by Hendricks. First and second for the pitcher Flaherty.
Yeah, that was not a good situation once he got to 2 strikes. Didn't see him go to his curveball. He hasn't gone to it yet so far. And he's pulled a couple pitches away from the zone, uncharacteristic of Kyle Hendricks. Now, with the injury to Rizzo and his ankle, and how he injured himself, by the way, was on a play just like this. And you will see the most unique defensive approach by any team in baseball. Never seen it, where the first baseman can actually cover the third base line. Don't know how well he'll be able to do that today coming back from that injury.
Flaherty bunts the first one foul.
It's such an aggressive approach. You got to have 3 components working. First of all, you got to have the guts to do it. Second of all, you got to have the athleticism to do it. And third, you got to have the guts to do it. That's guts first and third. Because a pitcher at any time could kind of slash the ball your way, right? Take it kind of, they call it the butcher boy swing.
Fearless. Got to have a screw loose. It's laid down, and Rizzo just has no chance. And the bases are loaded.
But see, that's exactly what we were getting ready to. The pitcher normally doesn't go to the line because he's used to Rizzo covering the line. And you can tell there's no way he was going to get there and pounce on it. Right there, he knows there's no way. So, yes, he's in the lineup. And yes, it could pay off dividends offensively. But right there, because of the way he customary covers that ball, you could see everyone thinking, oh, wait, that's not the old Rizzo. He couldn't get there with his ankle. And Kyle Hendricks, not to mention, by the way, is a great bunt.
But now something, if Rizzo plays over these final 9 games of the season, teams are going to look to exploit. Bases are loaded, nobody out. Back to the top for Dexter Fowler, who swings and misses, strike 1.
Well, this is a big-time pickle here for Kyle Hendricks. And the way that you try to navigate this inning as a pitcher, your mindset is, I can't try to not give up a run. Because if I try to pitch perfect and not give up a run, I may end up giving 3, 4, or 5. Give up the run and maybe 2, but try to limit the damage by getting outs.
Fowler with a ground ball up the middle. Zobrist to Horner. They turn a double play. And to your point, they'll live with that. St. Louis scores the first run of the night, but they get 2 out.
Too many pitchers will try to strike everybody out or figure out a way to put up a 0 because you're in the position the Cubs are. You can't play perfect, but you also can't play tight so that you try to play the game perfect, if that makes sense. And he did a great job there, trading a run for 2 outs. And he's got a chance to limit the damage here by just giving up 1 run.
Bader at third with 2 gone, and Colton Wong is the hitter.
There's the curveball. I think that's the first one, and I thought we'd see that curveball against Bader, who really had struggled against breaking balls. That's the second curveball he's thrown, so maybe he'll start integrating that a little bit more, take some pressure off the changeup.
He's got a 1.53 ERA in September, and the curveball usage has gone way up this month. That's a fly ball to right into the teeth of the wind that Castellanos will put away and finish the inning with the Cardinals strike first. And begins October 1st with a wild card game on TBS, and then October 2nd over on the American League side. on ESPN. October 4th, the American League Division Series begins on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
It's going to get crazy next weekend. I don't think anything will be decided before next weekend in either league.
Nico Horner to lead off this third against Jack Flaherty. That is a slider for strike one.
No, he did not call that for a strike.
Oh, ball one.
I'm right there with you, partner.
Bill Welke.
That was pretty good.
Well, Horner came up for the Cubs basically as a kind of an emergency piece. He had Baez go down, Russell plugged in there, then Russell goes down, and so Horner, who they were planning on playing the Arizona Fall League, is just sitting at home in California on his couch, got a call, hey, it's time to come up as a 22-year-old, make your major league debut. And he's done more than just plug the hole. He's been really good.
He has. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I'm going to give a comp. This is for these Cub fans. Way back when comp, a young Michael Barrett, catcher for the Cubs, got a little bit of similar mannerisms. Just came to me. That kind of stuff just comes to me. I don't know whether it's relevant or not.
It's a gift.
It probably means nothing.
Leading off this third, getting his hands in, rolling it gently to short for DeYoung. One gone here in the third. Well, if the postseason began today with the Brewers win earlier against San Diego, they would play Washington in the wild card game, and the Cubs at this point would be out.
Well, good news is
it doesn't start today.
It doesn't start today, but in fairness, you got to let the Cubs finish their game before it could start today.
True. Hendricks swings away at the first one, and a pop off the end of the bat to Goldschmidt. The Cubs getting Rizzo back tonight. There are others still injured. For updates on them, we go to the birthday boy. Happy birthday, Ken Rosenthal.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe. And after seeing Anthony Rizzo in the lineup tonight, I half expected Javi Baez to levitate across the infield, but he's not that far along yet. He's coming back from that fractured left thumb, actually available as a pinch runner tonight. He's doing light baseball activities, including hitting off a tee. His issue is squeezing the ball with his glove. Also tonight, Greg Kimbrell activated after spending more than 2 weeks on the injured list with elbow inflammation. Cole Hamels scratched from his Saturday start, left shoulder fatigue.
All right, Ken, as Rizzo stands in, swings away, launches one, left center, back towards the wall, and gone! Can you believe Anthony Rizzo with a solo shot and his surprise appearance here in Game 1?
There's a veteran, played many games here, knows there's no chance you're going to pull the ball up in the air for the most part unless you hit a missile. He went the other way, the short porch we were talking about, stayed back, and you could tell he's fired up. The crowd's getting fired up. We just saw the defensive play he wasn't able to make, but he said, you know what, take that. Offensively, I can help.
So the solo home run from Rizzo ties the game at 1 here in the third. That brings up Castellanos. Now, you weren't just losing your leader, your heart and soul. You were losing probably your hottest hitter as well. Since they plugged him into the leadoff spot, he had been on fire the last few days.
Listen, that's his third homer against Flaherty. So there's something about the matchup that he likes. And not saying that if somebody else wasn't pitching, he wouldn't still try to get in the lineup. But you got to figure that.
That is knocked down, kicks away from Edman, and a base hit for Castellanos. We look back at the home run from Rizzo.
Well, he has such a great and unique approach right on top of the plate. Look at his hands, and then look how easy he serves it out that way. I firmly believe that was his intent the entire at-bat, that he was going to try to utilize that side of the field where the wind was blowing and ultimately got the pitch he wanted. Struck out in the first at bat. Flaherty made him look bad. And that's energy that this team needs at this point.
Inning kept alive for Chris Bryant. They come into the game 3 back of the Cardinals in the division. And you talked about it off at the top. 7 meetings, but this first game, it can completely change the tone of the rest of the season one way or another.
Listen, irregardless, I almost did it again.
You've been told that's not a word?
That's not a word.
When did that happen? That you?
I
know it never has been, but when did it strike you?
Never been a word. It struck me for the last 3 years of my life. Regardless of what happens in this game tonight, mathematically the math still works for the Cubs.
Yeah.
That's not the point. The point is mentally come into the park the next day. There is such a huge impact if you come to the park tomorrow down 2 versus down 4. The math still works. It's not like they're out of a playoff spot if they even lose these first 2 games. It's just the momentum of trying to chase down the divisional winners, the divisional leaders in the Cardinals. That's where it mentally makes a big difference. And when you're next man on the bump, the next pitcher, it means that much more to him to continue that momentum, which, by the way, we've already documented they have not lost to the Cubs. The Cubs have not lost to the Cardinals here at home so far this year.
Flaherty has Bryant behind 0-2. Comes back home and taken low.
So it takes 3 weeks to change a muscle memory.
Okay.
How long is it going to take for me to never use that word again?
Well, you said 3 years you've been fighting it.
Oh, my kids tell me about it. You know, people that I value because I butcher the English language, so I'm still a product.
You don't need it. Not your job. Okay, so if you've been working on it for 3 years, let's give it another year. I think
one more year
totally
and it'll be
out of
locked.
your system. Flush it.
I hope you're right.
I got faith in you. The home run for Rizzo, giving the Cubs the first run of the game, is also the first hit against Jack Flaherty. He dominated the Cubs when he saw him in St. Louis on August 1st, but has never pitched particularly well here with an ERA above 6 at Wrigley. His 1-2 to Bryant is inside, ball 2. Castellanos off first. Flaherty home with a 2-2. Bryant pops it down the line. Long run for Colton Wong, or did it become a souvenir? Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance.
You know, it's funny, certain personalities or certain people can see things or feel different in certain stadiums. I thought because the dugouts were close and there weren't foul territory, I felt like I was on top of the hitter in this mound. I love this mound. Now, I didn't love the wind blowing out, but then there's other fields where it looks like the mound's actually 70 feet away. And so depending on your visual and depending on what you like is some of the reasons why you may have success in one park and you may not. You know, there are so many factors. Why do certain hitters like the batter's eye or the hitting situation in some parks that it's a lot of it's visual. And I learned that even in some parks that I didn't like the visual, I tried to figure out a way to change that. But here this was one of the top places I thought to pitch from a feeling of being right on top of the hitter. That tunnel between you and the catcher, so close.
And there are those numbers for Flaherty at Wrigley, and you may say that you feel great here and that you feel like you're right on top of the hitter. Tom Glavine may have said, just hypothetically,
right,
I feel like I'm a mile away.
Exactly. That's why it's to each their own there. You know, certain mounds, they're not all the same. Obviously, in no park is the same, but there are certain things visually that you're drawn to and you go, I'm going to hit here because I like it. I feel good. trying to think of the stadium that had the. I guess you could say Oakland has one of the deeper backstops.
And just a ton of room all around.
And that one felt like maybe I was
weird with the depth perception.
Yeah. I don't know who the first one to make the cutout grass. I don't know if it was the Diamondbacks. I know they have it from the mound to the catcher. That was cool to me. That looked like a runway. Comerica had it, you know. And I'm talking about the grass between the pitcher and the catcher was dirt, a dirt lane.
9th pitch to Chris Bryant. He hammers it to left, but it will topspin down to Ozuna and end the inning. But Anthony Rizzo, a surprise addition to the lineup. A solo home run against Jack Flaherty to tie the game at 1 and bring Wrigley to life in this big-time series opener. Sponsored by Sprint. Switch today. Now by State Farm. Talk to an agent today. In the postseason chase, every play matters, and the MLB At-Bat app delivers with live baseball on your favorite devices. So download MLB At-Bat today. Paul Goldschmidt leads off this inning for the Cardinals and takes ball 1 from Kyle Hendricks. Strike out his first time, one of his last 15 now. One of the guys the Cardinals are counting on to heat up here down the stretch. A lot like Ozuna, kind of guy that can go through stretches where he'll carry it.
Yeah, he has a unique approach. His batting style is unique to his own, but man, when he's locked in, good low ball hitter, he'll drive it out of this ballpark.
Came over in a trade in December and then signed an extension quickly after through 2024. 32 years old in his 9th major league season. On a 2-1 pitch, he pulls it down the line. That's a fair ball and a base hit to open the 4th. Into the left field corner. Paul Goldschmidt with the leadoff double.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. He has his bat in such a position right when the pitch comes to the plate to hit. Look where the bat is at impact. Now he's brought it back up and he gets his hands so quickly inside to keep that fair. That is great hitting. That's where they wanted the pitch, but his hands are ready to hit. No matter where the bat starts, it's where it goes once the pitch is on the way, and nobody does it better. I'm telling you, it's hard to copy that style, that approach, but it works for Mr. Goldschmidt.
Guys hit more home runs and driven in more runs than any player in baseball since his debut. That one drops in there at just 69 for strike 1 on Ozuna.
And you know, last year was in one of the biggest slumps of his life. Looked horrible. People were concerned. Was there an injury? He's not going to get. And he just came flying out of it. And at the end of the year, the numbers were close to what you're used to seeing. And similarly is what it's happened here. And that's that streakiness that he can get on.
Now for Ozuna, missed most of July with 2 broken fingers and still has the highest OPS for the Cardinals, but it's been a bit of a struggle for him lately. He says trying to do too much. I'll admit that he's at his best when he just simplifies, get a good pitch and hit it, carries that mindset into the at-bat.
Runners in scoring position down a little bit for him as far as the average.
Really across the team, those numbers are down. On a 1-2 from Hendricks, he watches it catch the outside corner, 1 gone.
See, that's what Kyle can do. Put a lot of pressure on the umpire, put a lot of pressure on the hitters with that late movement. Without the velocity, you would say he's in a bit of trouble trying to wiggle out of jams, but because he can make the ball create an illusion to the hitter that ball is away, that late life and movement is what makes him special without throwing the ball 95 miles an hour.
#1 edge percentage in baseball. His percentage of his pitches that are on the edges of the strike zone. You get strike 1 on Paul DeYoung.
I mean, I know we're into the comparison business as well, and it is not a far stretch to say he's similar to the way Greg Maddux pitched. Now, Greg was as good and as great at perfecting the illusion of making a ball look like a strike and making the hitter look foolish when you think it's a fastball, it becomes a changeup or a cutter. He was always one step ahead of the hitter. And Kyle is a thinking man's type, you know, poor man's version of Greg Maddux, in my opinion. The way that he delivers the baseball, the way his head and mechanics are in such good position after he throws the baseball to kind of recognize what just happened with the batter and the swing. I was never in that position. A lot of pitchers today, I would say almost 80 to 90% of them finished in a position where they can't even see what the hitter just did. They have to rely on the catcher or looking at video.
0-2. Hendricks in his 6th major league season now, and you talk about underrated. A 3.11 ERA in his career. That's second to Jacob deGrom among active right-handed pitchers.
You could ask 100 avid baseball fans of this time frame, and I don't know that they would even included him in the top 5.
An era of high velocity and a lot of strikeouts. Guy that's done it differently. Home with an 0-2. He's got back-to-back Ks here against the teeth of the Cardinals lineup. 2 out in the 4th.
And see, just to give you perspective, every pitch he throws has a purpose. He's trying to get the ball higher than high. Then he doesn't want anything in the middle part of the zone. If he gets anything in the middle part of the zone, he's probably going to get hit. And he's just been really good, especially here at home. Probably super comfortable with the mound and the, you know, his ERA is almost 3 runs different at home than it is on the road.
2 gone for Molina. Strike 1. Yeah, he's the best home pitcher in baseball, but the ERA is close to 5 on the road.
And that's amazing. That trend would be hard for me to think he could continue either way, right? Give a little at home, but be better on the road.
Thing is, though, I mean, he's got 2 more starts. Here we are at the end of the season, and it's still that wide a gap.
Yeah.
Isn't normalized at all. Inside and ball 1 on Molina. Buzzing him with 88.
Wondering what that reaction was about.
The Cardinals again issues tonight with runners in scoring position. 1 for 5. And now 4 of their last 33. That's a tough way to live offensively when you're not hitting for power. Not hitting with men on either. Goldschmidt at second. Started this inning with a double. Ozuna and DeYoung both strikeouts. And now on a 1-1 pitch, Molina pops it foul, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, there's the numbers you were talking about. It's been a feast or famine the last 30 games. They've either scored a bunch or not scored at all, and there's no middle ground. You know, baseball's kind of funny. If you asked a team in the start of the season, we're going to give you 3 runs every game, no more, no less. Some clubs built on their pitching would say, amen, give it to me. We're going to have a better year than we won't. But the way the game with the homers and the way that they try to get instant, you know, runs, that's the quickest way, of course. The formula doesn't bode well for success long term in the postseason. Let's just say it that way. But the streakiness of this ball club has gotten them to this point to where now their starting rotation becomes an edge for them instead of a liability that it was not too long ago.
The 1-2. Popped off the end of the bat to right. Castellanos is there. And the Cardinals unable to take advantage of the leadoff double. Here in Chicago, where the Cubs and Cardinals are playing the first of 7 games over the final 11 days of the regular season. Tied at 1 in the bottom of the 4th as Kyle Schwarber takes ball 1 from Jack Flaherty.
And Jack Flaherty's fastball has been, and the second half, been dominant as well. Only 1 hit off of it so far in this game, but that 1 hit was a homer by Rizzo.
Let's check in with Ken Rosenthal.
Joe, the Cubs liked Jack Flaherty in the 2014 draft, but they didn't want to select a high school pitcher at number 4. So they went with the guy at the plate, the slugger from Indiana University, Kyle Schwarber. Now, Flaherty goes to the Cardinals at number 34. He was actually the second pitcher they drafted in the first round, behind Luke Weaver at 27. 19 pitchers in all went ahead of Jack Flaherty in that draft. 9 were high school pitchers, including the top 2 picks, Brady Aiken to the Astros, who did not sign, and Tyler Kolek to the Marlins. Both of them eventually needed Tommy John surgery.
Flaherty eventually made his major league debut September of 2017. Now in his second year as a full-time big leaguer, and really coming on. He gets Schwarber swinging with a 97-mile-per-hour fastball for the first out of the 4th.
Well, this is that fastball I was talking about. He can ride it up, he can paint it away, and he just creates to one of the guys that on this roster loves hitting fastballs. Schwarber, 22 home runs off of fastballs against right-handers. So what do you do when you got a good fastball? You show them away, you throw a breaking ball, and then you elevate.
Still just 23 years old out of Burbank, California. Comes home to the veteran Ben Zobrist, strike 1.
You know, speaking of which, that dilemma really for the Cubs, you can't argue with their success and the platform to which Theo got them a World Series championship. The Cardinals have been notorious for developing young arms, but the Cubs have not developed a young pitcher in quite some time. What was their theory? They went out and got core position players, and they didn't miss on them. And they went out and traded and signed their pitching.
Ground ball to second for Wong. 2 up.
Now, with that being said, and everyone talking about window of opportunity to win, when you don't have arms ready in the farm system to come up, you have to continuously find pitching. Or your pitching that you have, the veterans that they have to pitch beyond their years, which for the most part they've been able to do. But that's the difference right now in certain philosophical, organizational, you know, the way they go about it. And the Cubs, I can't think of the last young pitcher that has been able to come through the farm system and, you know, work his way into being a star in the rotation.
Ball 1 on Wilson Contreras, and I think you kind of touched on it, that it was for good reason. It was because that's kind of what the market called for.
Well, it did, and in the interesting trends that have happened here is many teams were valuing the fact that you didn't know if you can keep that guy healthy, whether it was a draft pick, whether it was a young arm. But what was being proven was the position players' track record was better at keeping them healthy. So the veteran pitchers, which seem to be on all but a few teams, they're not spread out. They're on more of the clumped up teams that are having success. That is why Theo went out and got Lester and Hendricks and Cole Hamels and even Jake Arrieta, and now in this current Yu Darvish, right? So Darvish is starting to pay those dividends that nobody could see coming when he started off so bad last year, got hurt, and even this year had trouble throwing strikes.
It's unbelievable, the turnaround there. Theo Epstein.
So he's done a great job, and then the challenge in the future is going to be how much turnover in the starting rotation, and where do they get that pitching with the great core players they have. I mean, you're talking Bryant, Baez. I mean, Rizzo's been here. It seems like he's been here 40 years because the league is so young and he's so good. But Schwarber, and they keep coming up with him.
Yeah, year after year. I mean, it was Baez in 11, Almora in 12, Bryant in 13, Schwarber in 14, Happ in 15. That is grounded foul. And then, of course, you got Nico Horner, was drafted a couple years ago.
That man right there, they miss Mr. Baez in so many ways, and we may not. We're not going to see him tonight, but in the future, you may see him in games utilizing his skills other than hitting, whether it's a late defensive replacement or pinch running or any way that they can help win a ball.
Chopper left side. Third baseman Edman cuts in front of it, twirls and throws to get Contreras, and a nice play to finish off the Cubs. coming off Anthony Rizzo's solo shot. Wasn't even in the picture until about 15 minutes before the game. Made an announcement over the press box PA that he was ready to go and plugged into the leadoff spot as Edman takes ball one.
Yeah, ball one.
Yeah, ball one.
Split the plate.
Been a couple tonight. Hope that umpire Bill Welke that pitchers would like to have didn't get. Edman attacks this one and bangs it down the line towards the right field corner. That'll scoot by Castellanos. And Edman with his mind on three. He's got a leadoff triple.
I'm telling you, man, this guy has single-handedly energized this club. He made a great play to end the inning, cutting off his shortstop to make the final out. And then he was a big part of the first run they scored. And now it looks like he's got a chance to be a big part of the second run that they score. Down in Triple's alley. And used his speed. Never thought for a second he wasn't getting to third. Look at him flying around the bases.
Second hit of the night for Edman. And in a tie game in the fifth, the 8-hitter Harrison Bader comes up with a man at third and nobody out.
See, this is where Bader just needs to make contact other than third and short. Right up the middle. He cannot leave it up to his pitcher with one out without making contact. And if you're on the flip side and trying to figure out how do you get out of this and wiggle out of this situation, now you are thinking about strikeout pop-up if you're Kyle Hendricks.
He's got 4 Ks tonight. He's ahead here 0-2.
So now your mindset shifts to, I got 2 pitches to expand the zone and get some kind of wild swing. Because I am thinking nothing but strikeout here with the pitcher on deck, a good athlete on deck, but still a pitcher. If you're able to get him out, they're going to bring the infield in. I would think the Cubs are if Flaherty gets to the plate with 1 out and a runner on third.
0-2. Ball one. He's able to pitch around the leadoff double from Goldschmidt last inning. Leadoff triple from Edman here in the fifth.
Still think a curveball could be the pitch to potentially get the strikeout if he executes it after that fastball away.
Doubled up on it, 2-2.
And those were the 2 pitches he tried to pitch perfect. You know, he tried to make that perfect caught looking. Here you see what he likes to hit the baseball. Not your
shoot it where you normally do.
go inside.
Almost hit him. Full count. Hendricks 3-2. Grounded up the middle, base hit center field, and Harrison Bader has given the Cardinals a 2-1 lead. Taking advantage of the leadoff triple, scoring Tommy Edman.
Hendricks gonna be beating himself up. I told you he finishes in a pretty good position to field his position. This ball was hit firmly. Well, watch it go right through the wickets, right underneath his glove. He finishes there, he reacts, but doesn't get the glove down. Get a better shot of that right here. Really good pitch and good hitting, and the ball just stays down. The pitcher's issue when he's on the mound and the downslope of the mound, it's not like a regular infielder. You can predict obviously what that ball's going to do, and that ball got underneath his glove.
Flaherty takes ball one, but like you said, put it in play.
Yep, he did his part. Happen. Absolutely. Even if Hendricks makes that play, right? My argument in baseball is there's no guarantee he's not going to throw that ball away. But if you strike out, there's zero guarantee you're going to drive in the run. And I think those are going to be the winning approaches that you end up crowning a championship at the end of the year. those teams will do it better than the rest.
Look at the last 2 years.
Yep.
And we talk about this all the time. But the Astros in 17, the Red Sox in 18. They were both top 3 in baseball in contact percentage. That is not a good trend for Cubs fans. The Cubs have the lowest contact percentage in baseball this year. There he lays it down like he did his first time to Rizzo, who fields it and throws him out.
Flaherty's not only pitching great, but he's doing the other things you have to do to help himself and the team create a winning game. He's done it perfectly. He's bunted the ball twice as well as you can. You can tell they take pride in that, and at least he does. This is classic. It is so easy to bunt when you're mechanically sound and you use your legs as levers to go up and down. If you use your arms to do that, you're going to stab at the ball, you're going to foul it, and you're not going to put it where you want to.
Moves Bader into scoring position. Back to the top and Dexter Fowler. Good changeup. Strike one.
So of all parts of the lineup card that has given Kyle Hendricks fits, it's the bottom. And in the National League, percentage-wise, there's no way that the bottom part of the lineup gives you a better chance to score runs than the top of the lineup, of course, where you got most of your better hitters.
Now, bottom 3 in the Cardinals order tonight combined 4 for 4 with a walk and a sacrifice bunt.
That's impressive. That's how you get it done. Pitcher's best friend other than double play is the 8th hitter that can get on base, because then his job is to move him over.
0-2. Been a nice bounce back season for Dexter Fowler in his 3rd year in St. Louis. Especially good since they moved him into the leadoff spot in early August, which was kind of the plan initially, that he'd be the everyday outfielder, everyday leadoff hitter. Went away from that in his first season in St. Louis. Didn't do it at all last year. Back in there lately, thriving. 2-2. And essentially, since moving into the leadoff spot, he's been the guy that he was with the Cubs when he was an all-star in 2016, helped them win a world championship.
He was huge. I mean, you could make that argument. He was vital.
On a 2-2 from Hendricks. Watches it change to the knees. Strike 3.
Look, the leadoff spot in baseball has changed big time. What they expect of him. See this last pitch just floats in there. So it's now filled with guys who can go deep, obviously, and hit for power. But if you don't get a guy that can get on base in that spot, it still affects your lineup big time.
Yeah, both teams have been searching for somebody for that role. Colton Wong with 2 gone and a man at second. Cardinals think they found it with Dexter Fowler lately. Cubs thought they found it with Anthony Rizzo of all people.
I know, but that never would be a person you would think
not by
ever to lead off with what he can do at the plate. But that just speaks to where the Cubs are and trying to create that atmosphere and be a top-heavy first 4 guys in the lineup and do their damage there. Like the Castellanos edition. And Bryant getting closer to his MVP type numbers. That's where Baez being out hurts. But no chance. I mean, you're doing the pitcher a favor in theory by having him lead off. And even if he goes deep, it's just 1-0. But it's not like he's going to steal a ton of bases.
I mean, you said you like the idea of somebody with a high on base percentage.
Yep.
He's got that.
Yep.
And isn't there something uncomfortable about having to open your night against a guy like that?
Not really, because
okay
I don't worry about that. I'm more uncomfortable when base runners are on and he's coming up. That's what would give me unnerved. With him coming up, more than likely nobody on most of the time, it's less stress for me. And I know that game is built differently now because there's more stress in the lineup for guys that can go deep. So that part of the element is true. More guys can beat you with the long ball.
3-1 on Colton Wong. Bader at second, 2 gone, 5th inning. Hendricks comes home and Wong yanks it down the line. That is foul. Start Saturday strong this week with a big noon Saturday game of the week. It is Michigan and Wisconsin, all starting with a big noon kickoff pregame show at 11 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Three balls, 2 strikes on Wong. The Cardinals taking the lead here in the 5th on a base hit from Harrison Bader, taking advantage of the leadoff triple from Tommy Edman. 3-2.
This is one of those games right now. It looks like has been a grind, for Kyle Hendricks in certain counts. He'll get to that 2 strike and just hasn't been able to make the pitch that he wanted to make. And we already documented his 7, 8, 9's giving him issues, but got to grind it out. Keep your team close.
And in the hands of Wong and a bounce to Rizzo, who feeds Hendricks to finish the inning. But the Cardinals have taken the 2-1 lead, and we are halfway home in Chicago. Telecast is sponsored by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. MLB.TV now available at a lower price for $26.99. You can watch every out-of-market regular season game live or on demand and receive access to MLB At-Bat Premium. Visit MLB.TV for details. Bad news for the Cardinals. Colton Wong limping on his way to first base. Training staff came out and took a look at him, and he is going to leave this game visibly frustrated as he goes back into the Cardinals dugout. Jason Hayward takes ball 1 from Jack Flaherty. So the defensive changes for St. Louis as a result. Matt Carpenter in the game at third. You can plug him into the 2 spot in the order, and Tommy Edman over to second. Wong, you could make the argument, has been their most consistently valuable player this season.
Yeah, you can see his frustration. We couldn't get it all on camera, but he is visibly upset. Of course, when you're going good and you're going down the stretch, you never want to not be in the lineup. Hopefully it won't be something more than just a day or 2, or maybe it's less than that, but you can tell the player doesn't feel that at the moment he's walking off the field.
3 balls, no strikes on Jason Hayward, lined out to second his first time. We talk all about the Cubs injuries they've dealt with. Cardinals have not been without their own injuries this season, with long stretches without Ozuna, without Molina. Jose Martinez not really in the picture anymore. Kind of lost his spot because of an injury. That's a fly ball to left. Ozuna with room. And here's Horner.
Well, there are a lot of things that didn't make sense early in the year. Even talking to Mike Schultz, he had a hard time explaining at times why they weren't hitting, and at times why their pitching wasn't better. Because really, roster names and the way that this team was built in the offseason, it was built for the postseason, and they're now starting to flex their muscles in those areas because their bullpen's way above average, and now their starters have gotten to the point, like Jack Flaherty, where he's reaching all the potentials that were given for this young man because his tools are incredible.
Number 1 record in the National League since the break. And starting pitching has keyed that. 331 earned run average from the St. Louis starters. All starting with this guy, Jack Flaherty. It was ahead 0-2. This is, across the board. And this is the whole staff, not just the rotation. The bullpen, which is without their initial closer Jordan Hicks. Carlos Martinez has moved into that spot. Despite an offense that continues to rank in the bottom of the league, they're finding a way to win games with this staff.
But if you don't think certain parts of your ball club are not contagious and feed off of each other, you're mistaken, because everybody starts feeling the same way about the guy that's on the mound. And when your team is having a tough year, it's usually because you feel like you can't outscore the other player, or you've lost confidence in certain areas of your ball club. And that's not the issue right now for the St. Louis Cardinals when their pitchers go to the mound.
We got a shot there of Adam Wainwright. I mean, the kids are doing their thing, but how about what Wainwright's doing for the Cardinals?
Yeah, he's especially at home been fantastic, and his last 2 starts look like they're going to be at home. I think they leave here and go back home for the final parts of the season. He pitches Monday.
That'll be at Arizona.
Okay, so at Arizona and then home for the Cubs. But he has been huge for them at the home in his home ballpark. He has some, he has a home road split that's pretty big too. But yeah, he's come back and said he's not finished.
Last 4 starts for Adam Wainwright, 1 earned run in 27 innings.
That's getting it done at the right time. It's timing. I'm telling you, veterans like Adam been through the war. They understand what the final stretch of the season means. And look, he's playing. May or may not be his final season. Who knows? But that man's motor is unbelievable when he gets on the mound.
On a 2-2 pitch, Nico Horner hits a bouncing ball along third that'll stay foul.
We asked Joe about this young man. Just, did you see this coming, and what kind of player can we expect? He just likes he calls it bat to ball skills, being able to, and you're already seeing it in this at bat, lay off certain pitches, but then get the bat to certain pitches. And he said he's not afraid. He is not afraid. He's smart. And the overall answer was he's not surprised.
First pitch that he saw here at Wrigley Field, hit his first career home run last Friday against Pittsburgh. Here on a 2-2. Watches a fastball called strike 3. Number 5 for Flaherty. Horner thought it was low and may have a case.
That's the filthy fastball, and the presentation of Molina certainly helps. He's one of the best. He's got the greatest hands, one of the best catchers we've seen, and that box will say that it's low. And the Cubs are starting to grow low with their patience in the strike zone as well. Now 1 for 13 are the Cubs against fastballs off of Flaherty.
Pours one in for a strike on Hendricks.
4 strikeouts. Now, if he wants to strike out, he's going to throw a breaking ball, dirty pool, pitcher on pitcher crime. When you got a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, you throw it back right back at him. Let's see what he's going to do, because he knows his counterpart can't throw 98. That's the one good thing.
Oh my goodness.
He wanted to strike out.
He did. He went for it and got it. Another 1-2-3 inning for Jack Flaherty. Telecast is sponsored by Consumer Cellular, where low rates and award-winning service are just the beginning, and by Subway. If you're not following MLB on social media, you should be. So follow MLB on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Welke's been hearing it a little bit from Cubs dugout. And now waiting on Kyle Hendricks come out and throw his warm-up pitches.
Well, there was a conversation that extended a long time, and pitchers can kind of have communication with the umpires when they're at the plate. So talking about whatever they're talking about, and normally we don't come out of the break and come back and show the actual warm-up pitches, but he just literally came back to the mound. So this was a long conversation. He went back, took off his helmet. Now he's on the mound and getting his warm-up pitches.
Budweiser game summary. Anthony Rizzo's home run and his surprise appearance tonight, accounting for all the Cubs scoring. Cardinals getting the job done with the bottom of the lineup. They lead at 2-1 as they try to extend their lead over the Cubs to 4 games. Milwaukee Brewers winning earlier tonight. 7 meetings over the final 11 days of the regular season. Time now for State Farm covering the bases as we wind down near the end of the regular season. Some milestones. Bruce Bochy getting his 2,000th career win at Fenway Park last night. Garrett Cole reaching 300 strikeouts, and Ronald Acuna Jr. Could he have a 40-40 season? Needs just a few stolen bases in order to get to that mark. So much great young talent across this game. We had a chance to see Ronald Acuna Jr. in person last week, but wherever we go, we're seeing wonderful young players.
Big, huge impacts that normally aren't as widespread as we are seeing. And I'm telling you, I only hope that they can stay healthy. That's where you get a chance to see players become great.
Paul Goldschmidt leading off this inning, ahead 2-0. Rizzo coming up for a quick word with Hendricks. That's this.
Team leader.
Kyle has talked about how as he's gone through his major league career, he feels like one of the ways he's matured is taking what his teammates are telling him, listening to some of the advice a guy like Rizzo may have, and incorporating it into what he does. Open-minded. Delivers 2-0. Goldschmidt grounds one fair down the line. Extra bases for the second time tonight for Paul Goldschmidt. They'll hang on with a leadoff double here in the 6th. Cardinals fans, John, rubbing their hands together saying, oh baby, could this be the moment where Goldschmidt takes off?
Yeah, you see the location of the pitch and where it ended up. 2 different areas. You cannot defend that if you're Bryant. When you're pitching him away, you got to get the ball away, and Hendricks knew it. So once again, Cardinals putting pressure on the Cubs, who are feeling the pressure in the standings and in the waning moments of this game.
Really, they've been putting pressure on Hendricks all night. This is the 4th consecutive inning they've had the leadoff man on as Ozuna sprays it foul, and it's 0-1.
And again, you know, it's a playoff game for the Cubs, and when you're in those playoff games, the #1 thing you must do is eliminate the first batter. You never feel like a big rally will start, right? You get the first hitter out, next guy gets on, you're a pitch away from a double play getting out of the inning. But once you start creating, the other team starts creating momentum and putting pressure, now it affects everybody, and it especially affects the pitcher trying to be more fine.
These are the kinds of games, these are the kinds of series that you really miss. Huh?
Oh man, look, the season is long, and not every game has the same kind of, it all has the same meaning. You want to win every game you can, but there are certain games that mean more, and this is one of them. And you want to be as ready as you can to deliver your team in a good position. There are a ton of teams at this point in the season that have not been playing for anything for quite some time. But the teams that remain are. And so you can't help but come to the park with a little bit more of a attention to detail. A little giddy up in your step.
Gosh, just ask Nicholas Castellanos, right? Who went from the Detroit Tigers on pace to lose 100-some games and injected right into this race. He's been a different guy, jolted by the energy around a pennant race.
He has, and Cubs need another 2 of those guys right now offensively.
Oh, Bill Welke goes off of the corner to ring up Ozuna, number 6 for Hendricks, and he's hearing it from both sides tonight.
outside, and he's right. And a tough one to take when you're a hitter, recognizing their quadrants and knowing that a pitch is off the plate and you can't do anything with it.
And if I'm Marcel, I'm saying, what was that conversation you two had between innings? You pitchers. Strike one on DeYoung.
Hey, I'm telling you, I pitched with a lot of motion, and there were times where you lose your cool a little bit. You yell at the umpire from the mound. I didn't do it often, but like I said, in the National League, you go to the plate and you play. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get much sleep. Don't pay attention to me. You're basically sucking up, and you're just saying, my bad. Well, you can't do that in American League. So you have conversations when you walk off the mound. Those usually don't go as good as if you're in the box having a casual conversation. Nobody knows what you're talking about.
It's not as easy to yell that you didn't get a good night's sleep. That comes off wrong.
Well, it does. Yeah, it's just not.
Delivery is everything.
Two pitchers that usually work fairly quickly has slowed the pace down mightily for Kyle Hendricks as he's trying to grind through this inning.
That one gets a piece of DeYoung, and they're at first and second with one out.
I've always said about this sport, football is easy to watch the momentum switch. It's played with such aggression and such emotion, and baseball's about execution for that emotion switch. And it looks like at times when you're not getting hits, you're not scoring, it can look lethargic. It can look like, don't you guys know this is a huge game? That's not the issue. It comes down actually to the execution being a false read of your team at times. And right here, Cubs are on the trailing end of one run. It's only one run, but it feels like it's more. It feels like your offense is facing a great pitcher in Jack Flaherty, and you can't afford to give up many more. That's usually the way it feels when you're going up against a hot pitcher.
They're saying, where did the Pirates go? Come back, Pittsburgh. 55 runs over the first 4 games of this homestand. 3 of those against the Pirates. Quiet the last few as Molina takes ball 1. And trailing 2-1 tonight. Every game so important, especially for the Cubs. You're down 3 games in the division. And Joe Maddon's been managing that way very aggressively. Get the bullpen going here in the 6th.
A lot of choices this time of the year. A lot of things to figure out for Joe Maddon. And what did he say? He had 14 relievers, I believe, on his decision-making process.
Which is a small number relative to what some of the teams are doing. 1 and 2. Next September is going to be a breath of fresh air, isn't it?
It is. But I'm sure teams are going to find loopholes in that.
Always do.
Scenario.
Yeah, so the limit next September will be 28 instead of 40. And the regular roster size throughout the regular season will be 26 instead of 25. Goldschmidt at second, leadoff double here in the 6th. DeYoung was hit. Good opportunity for the Cardinals with Molina up there down 1 and 2.
Yeah, the Cubs are having some struggles here. I mean, this is second already meeting. They're going over not only the signs but different indicators of their plan and what they're trying to do. They know if they can get a ground ball out of Molina, it's a double play if it's hit at somebody, obviously, because he's not going to run that well.
Two on, 1 out. 1-2 pitch. Molina yanks a bullet to left for a base hit. They go station to station as Schwarber kicks it initially. Goldschmidt heads home. Contreras can't hang on, and Goldschmidt's in to score. A couple opportunities on that play for the Cubs to keep Goldschmidt from scoring. Schwarber didn't get it cleanly. Recovered to make a good throw, but Contreras couldn't catch it, and St. Louis leads 3-1.
Yeah, you just wonder if Schwarber looked up for 1 second to see where the runner was, and the ball didn't go in his glove. He reacted so well that I didn't think he'd get the ball in time to be an out at the plate, and he certainly did. So you can see, just hit the heel of his glove. Watch him make the correction, throw, and then just cannot get the ball, and that'll be it for Kyle Hendricks.
Officially ruled a base hit for Molina in an E7, allowing the run to come in to score. That does it for Kyle Hendricks, and a 3-1 game on Baseball Night in America. Six app and play our weekend games for free for a chance to win up to $250,000. 3-1 Cardinals, top of the 6th inning. They've got him at first and second with 1 out and have chased Kyle Hendricks from this game. Joe Madden goes to Brad Wick to face Tommy Edman.
Fastball, slider, curveball. Primarily he'll use that fastball.
Starts him with a curve. Wick started this season in San Diego, had an ERA above 6.5. He's got a 1.42 in 8 games with the Cubs. Edman, who's 2 for 2 tonight, pops it foul, and it's 0-2. It's the part of the order that Kyle Hendricks couldn't solve tonight.
Yeah, the St. Louis Cardinals have been on the verge of creating enough pressure, and they broke through here. Now, I told you, if the 1-run lead seemed like it was a lot, those add-on runs later in the game just kind of put more heat on you as a team. Now you're down 2. You certainly can't give up many more.
DeYoung at second, Molina at first as Edman fouls it. Cardinals looking for their first postseason trip since 2015. Cubs, if the postseason began right now, would be just on the outside looking in, with the Brewers winning earlier today. Cubs a half game back of the second wild card spot now. That's a swing and a miss on a back foot breaking ball for out number 2.
It's funny, we come in here, of course, and do the game, and perception as you see this breaking ball under the barrel of the bat. Perception is interesting in talk radio and fan bases. Glass half full, half empty. What is this team? What are they really capable of doing? This was a World Series championship team in the Cubs a few years back, and fighting for their playoffs the next several games.
Harrison Bader broke the 1-1 tie with an RBI hit back in the 5th. I say back in the 5th. It seems like a long time ago. It was just last inning. Good stop by Contreras. Ball 1.
It's interesting. I mean, that throw or that play by Schwarber will be the defining moment of the game. But they lost the game in extra innings against the Reds on a fly ball to Schwarber as he tried to make the throw to home, and inches away. A lot of opportunities in that game. They would be in so much better spot with a 2-game deficit in a 4-game series. I know it just seems like 1 game, but it is such a big difference.
Really, you got to go 5-2 for the Cubs over the 7 games to have a good shot.
Correct. Yeah.
And even then, you're going to need a little bit of help. 2 on, 2 out, 1-1 pitch. Bader yanks a base hit to left center field, and he's driven in his 2nd run of the night as DeYoung comes in. Bader to second with an RBI double that makes it 4-1 St. Louis. So the bottom of the order continues to get it done for the Cardinals.
Well, that's doubly tough because you did have an opportunity to get him out, but with Jack Flaherty on deck, boy, that's tough to swallow there. It's the hardest position to hit in the National League because you never know if the pitcher's ever trying to attack you with the pitch. You have no protection unless you're a Bumgarner or some of the better pitchers that can hit. And in this case, big 2-out RBI.
Makes it 4-1 Cardinals. Brings up Flaherty. To swing away for the first time tonight. Has bunted each of his first 2 plate appearances. Once for a single. And 1 successful sacrifice. He's become a big-time big league pitcher, but his first dreams are of being a shortstop at the major league level. Did at a high level growing up, early on in high school. Draft got closer, realized that he had a lot better shot as a pitcher.
I'll tell you what. He painted his shoes white. You might think the shoes are the length of his the rubber on the mound. Size what, 17s or something like that.
We do see some bigger shortstops these days, but
I'm talking about Wick.
Oh, Wick.
Yeah.
Backdoor breaking ball sits him down. Ends the Cardinals inning, but they add a couple and lead this one 4-1. Action ramps up as baseball's brightest stars take center stage for the Major League Baseball postseason beginning October 1st. You can go to MLB.com/postseason for the full schedule. How about Jack Flaherty tonight, now pitching with a 4-1 lead?
He's comfortable. He's on a roll. And he is leading his Cardinals in the second half. He's one of the best pitchers in the second half, and certainly on a run that couldn't come at a better time for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Last 2 starts against the rival Cubs now. He's given up 1 run on 3 hits over 12 innings. The 1 run came on an Anthony Rizzo solo home run, and it is Rizzo to lead off this 6th inning for Chicago. This is 27th this year. His consistency unbelievable over the course of his major league career.
Well, based on the matchups, looking at the, when we look at the numbers and I look at how opposing hitters are facing that starting pitcher that night, this is the only guy that's had really success against Jack Flaherty. He was coming into this game hitting .533 and 2 homers. Hayward .077, Schwarber .083, Bryant .133, Zobrist .125. Those are the numbers coming into off of Flaherty.
That'll make the ankle feel good.
Yeah.
Right. The 1-1 pitch. Rizzo pops it up left side. Carpenter over to give it a look. He's got room for the first out of the 6th. Time for a game break. Here's Amber Theo Harris. All right, Amber, so the Yankees finish things off in the American League East. And within a half game of the Houston Astros for the best record in baseball as they fight for home field advantage in the AL. 1 gone for Castellanos, who takes a ball. Of course, the news today out of New York, a little bit overshadowing the division clinch, is that Domingo Germán has been placed on administrative leave with a domestic violence investigation. It's a swing and a miss, 1-1.
They've been through. I mean, I just don't remember a year like the dominance record wise with the roster turnover, injuries. It's been unreal. I don't know how you could definitively pick a manager of the year in the American League.
Bounce to third. Carpenter. 2 out.
You've got the Rays and what they're doing again.
Kevin Cash.
The A's, Bob Melvin, and what they're doing. Minnesota and their first-year manager. And then the high expectation before the year started with Aaron Boone and the Yankees. They're supposed to win, so it kind of discredits the fact, and it shouldn't, but the injuries and everything, the road they took to get to where they're at, is going to make that award interesting.
Had I handed you a piece of paper that listed the players that would be injured and the number of games that they'd miss for the Yankees as Chris Bryant taps at foul, had I handed you that in March, you would have said how many wins?
No chance. I would have said, you know, they're going to be good, but no way.
85.
Yeah.
Well, you don't win 100 games of the injuries they've gone through.
Come on. Some of the players have filled in and had just monster career years. No signs of what they're trending offensively, and it has been amazing. They have done a great job organizationally flipping the script without anyone knowing that they weren't ever rebuilding and getting in a position to dominate, which, by the way, in the history of baseball, that organization obviously has dominated when it comes to championships. But this is the only decade that they haven't been able to get to the World Series yet. So this is the last year for that string to continue since 12 or 20.
Yeah, we talk about, I mean, the dominance of the Yankees has made them the quote-unquote easy to hate franchise, but it's hard to hate this group of Yankees. These guys getting their first opportunities to be stars and taking full advantage.
Totally true.
And looks at strike 3 off of the inside corner. Bill Welke is at a wide open zone off of those corners tonight. Sponsored by Budweiser. Join the team that enjoys responsibly. Budweiser reminds you to drink wiser.
Have you done that?
No. Have you done that?
Yes.
Willis Tower.
Unbelievable feeling.
Are you a heights guy?
I don't like it. Yeah, I'm not like, but that was wild.
Throw that up on your IG. Put that on your Instagram.
To stand over that and look down.
Danny Holtzen delivers the first one to Dexter Fowler. Flies it to center, and Jason Hayward for the first out of the 7. How about Danny Holtzen, who is the 2nd overall pick in the draft in 2011 and has dealt with arm injury after arm injury, and it looked bleak that he would ever make it to the major league level. But he's gotten through all those injuries and finally made it to the big leagues here 8 years after he was drafted.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And really what's been amazing about the Chicago Cubs bullpen has been evolving as the year goes on. Of course, Craig Kimbrell, signing him late, not exactly working out the way the Cubs would have hoped. And I see Happ at first base, but they have used a lot of pieces out of this bullpen that I don't think you could have penciled in at the beginning of the season as even remotely possible. But guys have stepped up, and you find out a lot about certain guys and how they're going to help you win.
Another one on Matt Carpenter. First at bat of the night for him, replacing an injured Colton Wong. Another than 2. Underwood Jr. loosening. More action down in the Cubs bullpen, which in the month of September, to your point, John, leading the majors with a 2.35 ERA. It's not like they've just steadied things. They've been the best in baseball in terms of earned run average, and that is the span that they've been without Craig Kimbrell.
Right, and again, a lot of pieces they've had to use, so that's impressive to have those kind of numbers when you're not relying on your typical horses or guys that you go to in typical leverage situations.
Holtzen fires 1-2. Carpenter swings and misses. 2 gone in the 7th. We showed you that Ian Happ is into the game at first base, replacing Anthony Rizzo, who's been the lone bright spot for the Cubs tonight. We see it on StatCast, powered by AWS. His home run providing the offense for Chicago.
Well, it's the one area where the wind allows it to go over the wall, and pretty amazing. There's the numbers that'll tell you what you need to know about where that ball went. But the fact that he got in the lineup tonight surprised a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of the fans who had heard the news about his ankle. It wasn't good, and he's the only run so far for the Cubs here in the 7th.
A strike on Goldschmidt. 3-0-2. 2 doubles tonight for Goldschmidt.
Just amazing. Watch the bat almost go down his back. and then get ready to be. You'd almost think there's no way he can get to an inside pitch. No way. But he's strong. Obviously good hand-eye coordination, and gets the barrel to the ball at the right time, even though the bat is pointing down. One of the quietest, most maybe unrecognized superstar in our game. There's the swing, he just fouls it. Doesn't say anything, doesn't say much, lead by example.
A 1-2. The folks thought that he would be the perfect match for the Cardinal way. Thought that an extension could happen. I don't know if they saw it coming before he even played a game for him, like they wound up pulling off. St. Louis record 5-year, $130 million contract through 2024. It's a bouncer to the hold it short. That'll test Horner. His running throw is off the bag, but a nice play by Happ to get him. Three decades has provided some of the sounds of Wrigley Field, some of the sounds of summer in the National League. Now retiring after 33 seasons as the Wrigley Field organist. 4-1 game to the bottom of the seventh. Joe Davis, John Smoltz, the birthday boy Ken Rosenthal, and Kyle Schwarber to lead this inning off against Jack Flaherty.
Well, the Cubs are going to have to dig deep. They need to electrify this crowd somehow. They got to create a buzz. They got to get some runners on. And a tough task the way Jack Flaherty has been pitching.
Only 2 hits against him tonight. Schwarber takes strike 1. One of them was the home run from Rizzo. Castellanos a couple pitches later followed that with an infield single. That is it. Literally, that is it. They've had no base runners since. It's back in the third.
Well, he's mixed in beautifully. A slow curveball every once in a while we saw there for a strike. Then the hard slider, and his fastball, with the exception of Rizzo, has been really not. No one's even hit it. I mean, they're not doing any damage off that pitch. And that's a good sign for a pitcher when he can come into this ballpark and pitch off of his fastball and have success.
Home with an 0-2. Schwarber yanks one through the box into center field for a leadoff hit. In the hands, able to fight it off and reach to open this seventh. The Cubs chasing the Cardinals in the division, but at this point, as we've touched on a couple times, they may have bigger concerns in the wild card picture simply when it comes to making the postseason. Now trailing the Milwaukee Brewers by a half game for the second wild card spot. Let's go to Ken Rosenthal.
Well, guys, 2 weeks ago on September 5th, the Cubs had a 3.5 game lead for the second wild card. If they lose tonight, they'll be outright out of a playoff position for the first time since April 30th. July 3rd, they were percentage points back. So this is not just a matter of the division at this point. It's a matter of missing the postseason entirely. And that brings up the future of Joe Madden.
As this one gets to the screen, it'll allow Schwarber to move into scoring position, Ken.
Every indication right now is that the Cubs want to move on from Madden. Theo Epstein, in a radio interview last week, lamented the team's inability to show up and play winning baseball for the whole to be as good as the sum of the parts. Now, obviously, this isn't all on Madden. We've discussed the Cubs' problems. Third inning coach in 3 years. The offense is still an enigma. They have not developed pitching, but it sure sounds like they want a new voice.
After 4 consecutive postseason runs, looking for a 5th this year. In a lot of ways a victim of their own success, a victim of the bar that they reestablished, winning that world championship in 2016. After 5 consecutive last place finishes from 2010 through 2014 as they began to rebuild it. 2 balls, no strikes on Ben Zobrist, and a 4-1 game in the 7th as Flaherty comes back home and gets a swing and a miss.
Great pitch there, 2-0. Hitters count. A little sinking action. A rotation. Both pitchers tonight. Doesn't look like much bothers him. Very stoic. Even as atypical of a performance for Kyle Hendricks, more of a grind for him.
Dribbler along first. That's foul.
But athletically, looks like he can do it all on the mound.
But the raw gifts in terms of the physicality, and then they talk about how detail-oriented he is in his preparation. Last couple of years, he's been making daily entries into a journal, documenting everything in terms of pitching, but also the personal stuff. He says the good, the bad, the ugly, both sides of life. Still just 23 years old, out of Southern California. Runner at second, nobody out, and a 4-1 game in the 7th. Here comes his 2-2 pitch. Zobrist chops it off of the hands to second for Edman. At the third goes Schwarber, one gone. And up comes Contreras.
He's been amazing for the Cubs. I know he's battled some injuries. His power and ability to find the gaps been pretty good this year. And I like the fact that he wants to be the best catcher in baseball.
Love it. Speak openly about it, right?
I do like it.
Missed a month with a hamstring injury. He's hit 5 home runs in his 10 games back. And it takes ball 1 from Flaherty. Debuted in 2016, took over as the primary catcher during the World Series run. All-star for the first time last year. Really struggled though down the stretch. Committed to be more consistent in the way that he works each day. Softly hit and foul. 1-1.
You know, they were talking to him earlier. His manager Joe Madden said part of the turnaround for Contreras is he finally got to the point where he wasn't afraid of failing or swinging and missing. So in other words, the power and the doubles and the ability for his power and offense to go to the next level got away from the fear of failure and the fear of actually swinging and missing at a pitch. Now that's different than just going up there wildly swinging with no plan. That's not what I'm talking about. A little different philosophy for Baez at the plate necessarily.
Schwarber, third one gone. On a 2-1 pitch, Contreras swings and misses as the bottom falls out. The thing had like change-up action to it at 94.
Sure did. I mean, this is absolutely filthy.
Put a sword in him.
Now he needs to abandon that approach of fear of swinging and missing and find a way to get the cut this lead in half. Got to get this run in.
A 2-2. Able to put it in play, but now Schwarber's hung up between home and third. Carpenter to Molina, and they execute the rundown for out number 2. The Cubs have made more outs on the bases than any team in the sport. And not a whole lot Schwarber could do on that one.
No, there wasn't. And we talked about a good defender on the mound in Jack Flaherty. He knows exactly what to do. That's no man's land. So once he makes them commit, he throws, and they calmly get this rundown without letting Contreras get to second, which is a big deal.
And the 97 pitches, Flaherty with an opportunity to get through 7. 2 gone as Hayward stands in. Here's what's coming up for the contenders in the Central. Of course, Cubs and the Cardinals going to see pretty much just each other. Arizona goes, or St. Louis goes to Arizona between the 2 series for the Cubs. Cubs go to Pittsburgh. The Pirates play 3 teams that are all at least 10 games, or the Brewers play 3 teams that are all within 10 games of 500. The Pirates, the Reds, and the Rockies. The Cubs have not been good away from home. With 2 out, Jason Hayward watches one snap into the zone, strike 1.
It's been a great show me pitch, meaning he can get a strike with it. Hitters are not going up there looking to hit a curveball first pitch. It's one of the most underrated pitches in our game, where you can really, if you can command that pitch, you get a free strike almost. Doesn't typically reflect the kind of year that Jack Flaherty's had. 11 times he's pitched, the team has scored 2 runs or less. He's 3-6 in those games, which is impressive in and of itself.
Yeah, 3 wins. That's the 1-2 fly. On the ground is second for Edman, and Jack Flaherty with 7 innings against the Cubs, leading 4-1. The Truth Spence Jr. takes on Showtime Sean Porter in a World Championship unification bout at Staples Center. Saturday, September 28th, live on pay-per-view. New pitcher for the Cubs, Dwayne Underwood Jr.
I was going to say, you got abs like that guy?
Nope. You?
No.
How many do you have? Like 14?
It looked like the most I've ever seen.
First pitch is in the dirt to Ozuna. We had that promo on our football game last weekend, and my partner Brock Heward got out his telestrator and the tool where you can count the number of players on the field. And we counted the abs. I think it came up to 12 of them. So there was a penalty on his abs. One too many.
Oh, don't bring that up. Don't bring up the penalty of too many men on a field.
Spartan fans still sensitive about it.
Gosh.
Underwood's 2-0 on an in ball 3 on Ozuna.
You can see Underwood's got a good arm. Strike zone and putting the ball where you want to. But he can rush it up there.
Second round pick, former highly regarded prospect. Pours in a strike at 95, 3-1.
It's one of those arms that looks like he's barely trying to get the ball to the plate, and the ball just jumps out of his hand. Sometimes gets a little underneath the fastball.
Induces a bounce that is short for Horner. Steps into the throw, which is low, and Happ bails him out. That's one of the only concerns at this point about Nico Horner is the arm strength. And a lot of people think long term he's likely to move to second.
Yeah, you can see obviously there's such a huge difference between what you're used to watching in Baez and the bullets he throws over to first. Not as naturally gifted with that arm as he grips the ball, and a little low 3/4 ball sails, but teammate bails him out.
DeYoung, ball 1. So these Cardinals, John, hope that they're on their way to the postseason for the first time since 2015. That's part of the story. Then it becomes, what kind of threat are they? What kind of run can they make?
Yeah, I think much like we've talked about in the National League, much more competitive from a whole league standpoint, and maybe not the super teams that may exist over in the American League. But I'm telling you, the Cardinals did everything they had to do in the off season to get this club ready to be champions again.
Pop fly, shallow right field. Called by Zobrist.
Their bullpen was addressed perfectly, even though they, had some injuries in it and have had injuries in it. So their bullpen's way above average. Their starters are starting to fill out a resume where you go,
You feel good about Jack Flaherty in game 1.
All of a sudden, Daniel Hudson comes from nowhere with that power ball sinker, and then the revival of Adam Wainwright, and Michaelis, and all the different pieces that were in play that looked good and on paper, but then didn't come out of the gate looking good.
Strike on Molina.
Now they are.
Nobody warming in the Cardinals bullpen with Jack Flaherty at 101 pitches. But he wouldn't have batted an eye at that years ago, but that is against the grain of what we see now. But it is also what Mike Schilt told you a couple months ago he wanted to see more consistently from his guys.
Absolutely. And it's a reprogramming of the player's mindset to not just give in and look over their shoulders.
Fly towards the right field corner. Castellanos gets a little bit of help from the wind to knock it down. And to the bottom of the 8th we go with the Cubs down 3. Jack Flaherty back out there. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by IBM. Let's put smart to work. Here in Chicago, where the Cardinals and Cubs are playing game 1 of this 4-game series, and Jack Flaherty has continued what he's done this entire second half.
Guess what? If you just came here and you were watching this guy for the first time, your eyes tell you the Cubs haven't even come close to muster up anything. So why make a change and make the Cubs feel better about another pitcher coming in when this one is in a groove?
Other than 2 on Horner. Now, we talked about it a little bit earlier, but this is an historically good run post All-Star break for him. All-Star game began in 1933. This is the 5th best ERA after the All-Star break since, of course, Jake Arrieta's incredible 2015 run here in Chicago, number 1 on that list. Pitching into the 8th inning for the 3rd time in his last 4 starts. One, 2.
There's nothing better when you're going in this kind of, when you're on this kind of streak, to take this streak into the postseason. To feel unbeatable, to feel like you're the guy that sets the tone for your club in the postseason when and if the Cardinals are able to punch that ticket.
Gets Horner to chase, 1 gone in the 8th. Time for a game break now. Here's Amber Theo Harris. Jeez, just beating up on Detroit. Nico Horner was arguing there that he got a piece of that. But home plate umpire Bill Welke can ask for some help from the rest of the crew, and they confirm what he saw.
Tight slider. Just disappearing when he gets to home plate. Matter of fact, didn't even get to home plate.
8th K of the game for Flaherty, and Ian Happ bats for the bases empty and 1 gone. Now, we've seen flashes of Jack Flaherty like this, even last year in his first full major league season, even in the first half this year. Like Schilt said earlier today, this is the same guy we saw. He's just at his best consistently now.
Yeah, I mean, patience is tough because we have such impactful young players that you want to get them in and you hope they pitch beyond their years. But patience in this role on a team of starting pitching has to be the greatest length of patience. You have to show that in the minors. You have to show that in the big leagues. You have to let these great talents develop at the rate that they can develop. But that doesn't seem to be universal across the board. We just kind of replace, switch, and looking for the next guy. Next guy up.
Carlos Martinez getting ready for the Cardinals. As Flaherty delivers 2-2 to Happ. 99 is getting stronger as the game goes on in terms of velocity. 99 in his 111th pitch. It's the hardest one that he's thrown tonight. Throwback performance from Jack Flaherty. Another 2-2. Took a little off. 97. This next pitch will match his season high. 113th from Flaherty. Weak ground ball to first for Paul Goldschmidt. 2 gone in the 8th. Well, Flaherty and the Cardinals trying to get to the postseason for the first time since 2015 when the Cubs knocked them out in the division series. A lot has happened in St. Louis sports since then. Of course, the Rams moving to Los Angeles. The Cubs winning the World Series the year after that for the first time since 1908. St. Louis experienced a championship again with the Blues bringing the Cup home in 2019. And can the Cardinals make a return trip to where they so frequently were over the first decade and a half of this century, back to the postseason? This is Victor Caratini. And that is strike 1.
Yeah, in a weird way, you know, the Blues kind of took attention off of maybe the Cardinals not playing at their best at the time. Of course, huge for the city, get their first NHL championship, and now the eyes are back on St. Louis Cardinals. That is, it really is. I mean, I guess soccer's there, but with football being gone, baseball's still king.
One and 2. What a performance this has been from Jack Flaherty. 116 is a season high. We've seen him hit 99 here in the 8th inning. Doing his best 1990s impression.
Pat Benatar days.
Oh yeah, hit me with your best shot. 1-2. It's so funny. That's the first thing that came to mind when I brought up the 1990s for you. Pat Benatar. Now, the most pitches thrown in any game in the National League this year, 126. That was another Cardinal, Adam Wainwright, against the Cubs back on June 2nd. This is number 118 from Flaherty. It's another 1-2. And it's a ground ball past him to short. Behind the bag to Young. What a performance from Jack Flaherty at Wrigley Field tonight. Adam Wainwright, the veteran, talking with the kid Jack Flaherty after his 8 innings of 1-run ball to open this 4-game series against the Cubs. Pedro Strop comes on, delivers strike 1 to Tommy Edman. Edman 2 hits tonight, 2 runs scored. Here on an 0-2 pitch, he fouls it off. We'll do it again.
He's been amazing. I've not got a chance to obviously watch him as much, but his energy and just what he's been the last week has been That's what you need. That gives the team a jolt. That comes from not nowhere, but you would think that would come from Goldschmidt or Ozuna.
Popped into center field for Jason Hayward, and it still might, but in a summer where they've not gotten the kinds of performances that they expect from Goldschmidt, or especially Matt Carpenter, guys like Edman have picked him up, and here they are with the division lead.
Yeah, timing is everything. Tough decisions are made at the end of the year. Certain guys get you to the end of the goal line, but may not be the ones that push the ball across the goal line come postseason, just because the way they finish or just because of matchups.
Ask Steve Pearce in 2018.
Yeah.
Ask Kyle Schwarber in 2016. It's strike 1-1 on Harrison Bader. Strop really working quickly, gets ahead 1-2.
And known to quick pitch, of course. Different pauses, different deliveries. Even though he's pitching out of the stretch with nobody on, you can pretty much do whatever you want once the batter's in the box and the hand of the umpire goes down. See how he quick pitched right there.
Did it again, and he gets Bader, who is retired for the first time tonight.
And what that basically is, you come to a normal set with your hands, and then the timing of the hitter is ready for certain tempo, and then all of a sudden he sees a different tempo and the ball's on him, and it's an overreaction. Pitching's about messing up the timing of hitting.
33-year-old catcher Matt Wieters, who missed the first few weeks of September with a calf injury, comes off of the IL yesterday, and in his first at-bat, homers against Max Scherzer.
Oh, he caught Max Scherzer a few times, I'm sure. I would think, or around him, of course, being with the Nationals.
He's played a big role for him this year with the injury issues that Molina's had. There's another quick pitch, this one in the dirt, ball 1.
Well, this crowd has been very subdued, and the reason they've been subdued, the offense has been quieted by Jack Flaherty. Barring a 9th inning rally, they will have to muster up some 3-game magic. You really got to look at taking 2 or 3 at the bare minimum, but now the next 3.
2, 3, and 4 coming up against Carlos Martinez, Castellanos, Bryant, and Schwarber. So you got the right guys coming up, trying to discover some offensive power in a game where they've managed just 1 run. Wieters pops out to Schwarber, and we go to the bottom of the 9th inning with Castellanos to lead things off, then Bryant, then Schwarber against Martinez. With Nick Castellanos to lead things off, and we look at our Bass Pro Shops player profile. He's been one of the best hitters in the National League since they acquired him from the Tigers, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, but he said it's as simple as just having life injected into him each day, waking up knowing that he's going to the park with something to play for.
Yeah, that's a big part of it. Of course, it's again a long season, and certainly every player wants to do the best they can no matter where they play and no matter what day, but there is a mental adrenaline boost that goes from last to possibly first to possibly the postseason, and he has been a lifeboat of energy, and of course the numbers back it up.
All right, so here we go for the bottom of the 9th inning with Carlos Martinez, 21 of 24 in save opportunities, taken over for Jordan Hicks.
Arm action sometimes lends the fastball, which has great life, to be a little bit wild, but great changeup, good slider. And now in this role, once a starter.
It's a chase here, 1 ball, 1 strike. You're 1 1/3 yesterday. Missed a few days with a scary respiratory issue that put him in the hospital. Breathing issues while the team was in Colorado. Thin air at Coors Field. And they had a blown save without him a few days ago. It's fouled and it's 1-2.
Castellanos gets that leg going early and leg kick. I mean, he is timing mechanism similar to Justin Turner, but Justin Turner's leg goes way up higher, but his is more of a momentum. And watch how early he'll get that leg going. There's a little pressure on his toe. And Baez kind of turns away from the pitcher to create kind of a whip. And when he's right, it's gap to gap. A lot of doubles in Detroit, but a much bigger ballpark than most. Those doubles have now turned into homers with the Cubs.
More extra base hits than anybody in baseball this year. You're just trying to reach in a 4-1 game in the ninth on a 2-2 pitch. He watches it miss down and away. That is a few bad misses with his slider. Helped him out on one, but he's taken a couple and the count goes full.
Interesting enough, I asked Joe Madden about a question that pertains to making adjustments maybe even next year, and he said the one thing I've taken notes is we need to be better as a team on this count. 3-2 right here, not turn it into a super aggressive hitting count.
And he's going to like what he sees there. Leadoff walk from Castellanos.
And what he meant by that comment was, as a team, they would fight on a 1-2-2-2 count to get to 3-2, but then lose that fight by opening up the strike zone on 3-2 and creating an easier avenue for the pitcher to get him out.
Which becomes just completely counterintuitive,
yes,
because you're on the verge of a walk at that point. Castellanos is happy to take his and pass it to Chris Bryant.
I've always said in this situation, when you're coming into a game with a 3-run lead, giving up a hit's not a big deal. It's walking the first hitter that starts playing with your mind and giving the hope to the other team, like, okay, you just gave me a free pass.
Bryant lines a base hit into center field, and the Cubs waste no time getting the tying run to the plate in the ninth.
That's what I'm talking about. That walk. And now first pitch aggressive swinging out of Bryant. And the wind has died down a little bit. So Schwarber, being a left-handed hitter, always looking to lift the ball in the air. We'll be looking to see if he can do that. And keep the line moving. That's the one thing when you get to the end of the game in the ninth inning. Keep the line moving. You'll hear from an offense saying, next guy up, next guy up. Great at bat, great at bat. Get on base.
Walk from Castellanos, single from Bryant, and Kyle Schwarber takes ball one. Career high 37 home runs this season for the powerful lefty. It's the most by a left-handed hitter in a Cubs uniform since Billy Williams did it in the early 1970s.
It's a good meeting at a mound by one of the best in the game. Molina getting his pitcher refocused and locked in. But this is a perfect example of why, even though you knew Jack was coming out because of the pitch count, it would have been a little extreme to ask him to go in the ninth. But that's the break sometimes. You're like, man, anybody that comes in now is going to be easier to hit than what we just saw, because he was on his game in a supreme way.
Cubs got to be thinking anybody but Jack Flaherty. First two have reached against Martinez. Now a 1-0 pitch that Schwarber takes low and inside, ball two.
Well, it showed up as a strike, and the reason it may not have been called a strike is he was looking to throw it in a different area, and Molina had to reach. I don't think there's any way this could be a 2-0 fastball right here.
If it is, Schwarber might come out of his shoes. It's ball three on a change.
Now, do you give him the green light 3-0 right here to a guy? I say yes. I know it's dangerous. You'd like to get that third guy on. But if you're disciplined as a hitter and you sit on fastball and look for one location middle in, that's a big trust factor if he unleashes him here 3-0.
With a chance to tie it. He swings and misses as the thing falls off the table and makes it 3-1. Martinez preying on that mindset.
Yeah, he threw a nasty slider. And the aggressive swing there was more predetermined that was going to be a fastball, and he didn't get it.
They made it look like one, and they disappeared on it. 3 balls, 1 strike. Schwarber swings and misses at another good slider, and the count is full.
Those are the 2 best pitches you could throw him under the circumstances of being down 3-0 in the count. So now Schwarber's thinking, all right, now what? See, if you don't change your approach here as a hitter, if you're still trying to hit a 3-run homer, he's going to swing at the next pitch that is not a fastball that looks like it's going to carry and be a strike.
On a 3-2 pitch, Schwarber. It's a dribbler along first, foul.
That was a great job fighting off a fastball. It looked like on the lower part of the zone. After seeing 2 nasty sliders and breaking balls, he went with the fastball and fouled it off. You could come right back with that slider off that height of the pitch, and it would be hard for Schwarber to lay off of it. There's the pitch. There's the height you see right around knees or lower. If you throw a slider off that same pitch right now, I would be shocked if Schwarber could lay off of it.
So he's got his 2 strikes out. Castellanos is second with the leadoff walk. Bryant at first with a base hit. Schwarber representing the tying run. Another 3-2 pitch from Martinez is strike 3 at the top of the zone.
That was a slider. It was higher than they wanted it, but it still fooled Schwarber. He couldn't stay away from being tempted to swing at it. May have been called a strike, who knows, but that was a game changer at bat temporarily for the Cardinals and Martinez, because that was 3-0 and first and second nobody out. Wow.
So now Zobrist, you obviously trust in big spots, just not the power threat that Schwarber is. You go from 37 home runs in Schwarber to 1 in Ben Zobrist. Granted, he's missed a big chunk of this season, missed 4 months on the restricted list, tending to family matters. But he represents the tying run.
I know he hasn't done this a long time in Carlos Martinez, but the one trap that a lot of players or pitchers will fall into when you're trying to close out a game is you start adding up batters or tying runs, like tying run on deck, or you can't do that. When you start thinking about what ifs and, ooh, if this guy gets up, you have to just literally separate what just happened and get guys out. You don't even care if they score a run or 2. You just don't want that 3rd run to come across the plate. And you can't look who's on deck. You can't score watch or score pitch.
Ground ball. That is a foul ball, and down the line towards the right field corner. Zobrist on his way to second with an RBI double. It's 4-2, and the tying run is in scoring position. They're going to pinch run for him. And on a night where we've seen Anthony Rizzo hit a home run in a surprise appearance, we will now see Javier Baez come out representing the tying run in a surprise appearance.
Yeah, Bryant's run meant nothing. You know, typically he could have probably scored in a game that didn't have the 9th inning approach like here. But his run means nothing. It's the runner at second base. And again, I think they've got one of the guys at the plate that is relishing this role. And surprisingly, this crowd is stuck in there. And for the first time all night, it's been standing. They're on their feet. They know what's at stake. This place will explode if Contreras can get a hit and tie this game up.
The Cubs perhaps trying to save their season right here. Down 3 games in the division. Contreras fouls off the first pitch. Down 3 games in the division and running out of time. After tonight, just 9 left.
A couple of the sliders now have been a little bit underneath and up. He fouled one off right there. The best version of his slider is when he gets on top of the ball and sweeps it across the plate lower.
Chases 0-2.
This is just a nasty sinker that he was trying to bury in. And so now Contreras is going to battle. He's got to battle to fight off any pitcher's pitch and try to look for one that is his, that he can handle, at least get the run closer by making contact. See, I always say, I mean, even if he can't get a hit, you put pressure with a runner on third, 3-2 game, 2 outs, and a guy like Hayward who can run, now you bring an infield hit or into play.
0-2. Fouls it back. 98 power against power. We'll do the 0-2 again. Baez pinch running, representing the tying run, 1 gone, 9th inning. Another 0-2 pitch. And a ground ball gently hit third base side. Martinez throws late. It's a 1-run game. And the tying run is 90 feet away.
And that's what contact can do. That little infield hit. It really was the only play, I think, that Martinez had. Good read, good break by Bryant with good speed. A do-or-die play that more than likely was going to not change the result.
You got to keep an eye always on Javier Baez. Out at third with bad intentions. He'll hang on as Carlos Martinez leaves the game. It's 4-3 in the bottom of the 9th. The Cubs have the tying run at third and the winning run at first. Have any signs of life over the first 8 innings of this game against Jack Flaherty. Flaherty leaves. Carlos Martinez comes on. Didn't quite have it. The Cubs have 2 in the bank with runners at the corners and 1 gone. Andrew Miller on to try and sneak out of it.
Well, an interesting decision here by Joe Madden, where Andrew Miller historically is so tough on left-handers. Jason Hayward's going to stay in the game and hit. And a play that's hard to defend, but a play we probably won't see with a runner on first and third is the safety squeeze. You bunt it, you give up an out, you at least tie the game. Baez, one of the most athletic runners. But more than likely, I think Joe's going to say, I trust that Jason will put it in play and his speed will keep me out of a double play. They're playing kind of halfway in the infield.
Robel Garcia pinch running at first. Miller delivers and Hayward watches strike 1.
It's a tough matchup for Jason Hayward. This is a tall, slender, lanky, low 3/4 throw-in lefty.
Hayward 3 of 11 against him lifetime. The game on the line in the 9th inning. It's a ground ball right side, diving stop. Edman gets the out at first, but the game is tied as Baez comes in to score.
Incredible job by Jason Hayward and trust by his manager. Not an easy task. He did what he had to do. Got the ball in play, tied the game up, and now the Cubs are set up with the rookie to come through in one of the most important games of the season. The Cubs have life when it looked like it was lifeless going into the 9th inning.
And it was. And then Flaherty leaves. And the Cardinals bullpen, which has been statistically the best in the league this season, gives up 3. The rookie Horner. 0-1.
I'm telling you, folks, that is a tough left-hander to hit. And what Jason Hayward was able to do could very well turn their season around if they're able to come back and win this game.
Quickly, no balls and 2 strikes.
All set up by the first at-bat of the 9th inning. I'm telling you, the walk did more psychological good for the Cubs than a leadoff home run or a double or a single. It just does.
The walk to Castellanos. Bryant followed it with a base hit. Zobrist had an RBI double. Contreras with an infield single, and then Hayward tying the game on the ground out.
And after Martinez battled back from 3-0 to Schwarber and strike him out, it looked a lot better for him. And then that inches ball just down the line gets out of the reach, and then an infield hit, which was the toughest one to take for the Cardinals.
0-2. Fly ball center field. Bader goes back with room to end the inning. But the Cubs, down to their last hats, get 3 runs to tie the game against St. Louis. Well, a story coming into the night was the injured Cubs, right? But Anthony Rizzo, surprise appearance, hits a solo home run. Javier Baez off of the bench to pinch run and score the tying run in the 9th inning. And as the game goes to extras, why don't we throw another one in? Craig Kimbrell makes his first appearance since early September.
It's a big appearance, obviously, for Kimbrell in more than one way. Physically, mentally.
It's the top of the order. Delivers ball 1 to Dexter Fowler. He's been dealing with a sore elbow. He's got a new catcher in the game for the Cubs in Jonathan Lucroy, and a new second baseman, David Bodie. Two and 0.
And this is the mental challenge I said about the big part of coming back. This is a pro's pro, one of the best closers in the game. He has struggled a little bit this year, of course, since signing with the Cubs. And when he's on his game, if he remotely throws 50% strikes with his fastball, that killer breaking ball is hard to lay off of once you've established that you think he can throw fastballs with his strike with his fastballs. When he gets in trouble, it's because he can't command the fastball.
His 2-on to Dexter Fowler is fouled off, and it's 2-2.
So when he's right, this typically would be a breaking ball about 100% of the time with 2 strikes. When he's right and when he's got confidence, because now you're ready for 96, 97, and you got to get this knee buckler breaking ball. See what they go with. 2 universal, 4 curveball.
Good take from Fowler, and the count goes full. New Cub against old Cub. Carpenter and Goldschmidt to follow. In a 4-4 game here in the 10th. Kimbrell delivers, and Fowler strikes out swinging. So Dexter's 0 for 5 today, and Kimbrell retires the first man that he faces since September 1st.
The teeter-totter of emotions for this crowd and for Craig Kimbrell just were put at ease with that strikeout on the 3-2 pitch.
Signed a 3-year contract June 5th. And the sore elbows kept him out the last few weeks, but he also missed a couple weeks in August with a sore knee. And even when he's been in there, like you touched on, he's not been dominant. With one out, he delivers to Matt Carpenter, and he strokes a high fly ball to deep center field. Matt Carpenter hits it out of here to put the Cardinals back in front. It's been a trying season for Carpenter. Perhaps his biggest moment comes here in the 10th inning at Wrigley Field in late September. He was 0 for his previous 7 lifetime against Craig Kimbrell. And he punishes a home run to the bleachers in left center field to make it 5-4.
Amazing. You just go up there, say, I'm seeing a fastball. I'm going to hit a fastball.
Sometimes simple is best. One on Paul Goldschmidt. Perhaps there's something about Wrigley Field for Matt Carpenter. Last July, he hit 6 home runs in a 5-game span here.
Yeah, he's one of those, I'm telling you, sees the ball probably here about as good as anywhere. Loves it. Talking about loving it. Cardinals back on top.
And Kimber to Goldschmidt with a 1-1. It's cut on a miss, 1-2.
Well, unfortunately for the Cubs, similar kind of feeling here. Last night, the Reds took the lead after a well-played game all the way through. This one is doubly tough because the momentum was so far on your side. Not to say that they can't come back and score again, but it's one of those suck the air out of the stadium moments, and Cubs will have to find another way again when they come up to bat.
Happ, Bodie, and Castellanos coming up. 2-2 to Goldschmidt. Long way for Bodie to go near the tarp, out of room. For Matt Carpenter, this year has included an injured list stint that it was much about resetting the swing, going to AAA to find his swing as it was letting that foot heal. Fixed his swing, but in the meantime pretty much lost his job to Tommy Edman. So his role has been diminished to starting roughly once a week, coming off of the bench. Off of the bench tonight because of the injury to Colton Wong. Who knows what Wong's immediate future will hold. For the time being, Carpenter having his finest moment of 2019 for St. Louis. Another 2-2 and a strikeout for Kimbrell. 2 out.
Used the power of Kimbrell's fastball down and didn't try to do too much or pull it. Of course, that's the area of the field we talked about earlier in the game that is more doable with the wind.
"13 pitches in Craig Kimbrell's return, but he gives up the tie-breaking home run to Matt Carpenter. The save in the 9th inning, but for now Matt Carpenter bailing him out with a home run against Craig Kimbrell. And Steve Cishek gets strike 1 on a frisbee pitch to Marcell Ozuna. Ozuna 0 for 4 tonight. A lot of good things for the Cardinals in this game, but still waiting for Ozuna to get going. And for him, this is almost a month now where he's been searching. And the ground is short. There's Horner. That's the inning. Can the Cubs do it again? To the bottom of the 10th we go. Matt Carpenter with a tie-breaking home run as the Cardinals try to extend the lead over the Cubs in the Central. It's 5-4 to the bottom of the 10th on Baseball Night in America. In front 5-4 as we go to the bottom of the 10th inning. And Giovanni Gallegos comes on to try and close it.
He's been good for that bullpen. Fastball over 55% of the time. And the slider is the other pitch that he will throw pretty much the rest of the time. Good break to it.
9-1-2 for the Cubs here in the 10th inning. Happ, Bodie, and Castellanos. Gallegos comes home and Happ takes ball one. Happ spent most of this season in AAA. 39 home runs over the last 2 seasons, but didn't make his first major league appearance this year until late July. Limited playing time since coming up. Came on earlier for Anthony Rizzo, who gave it a go tonight. Hit a home run in his surprise return. 2-0.
Yeah, for Happ, it's been an interesting journey the last couple of years. He hit the first pitch of the season for a home run, and you'd think, oh man, here we go, and it's just not totally clicked. Just got a chance to do something special here if he can get on base and or hit a game-tying homer.
2-1. David Bodie, who has developed a reputation for providing big swings for the Cubs in a short major league career, waits on deck.
There's been a big swing of emotion in the last 30 minutes so far here in this stadium.
Feeling more and more like October, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this crowd had nothing to really get going about other than Rizzo's home run, which tied the game up at 1, but then it was the Cardinals all the way to the 9th with a 4-1 lead.
Happ with a pop-up into shallow center field. Bader comes on. The call and the catch for the first out of the 10th. Gallegos acquired in the Luke Voit trade last year, kind of an under-the-radar deal that has turned into a big one for both sides. Bodie comes up to hit. Gallegos had a save for the Yankees last season, but this is his first true save situation in a Cardinals uniform. Facing David Bodie in a 1-run game in the 10th, and he misses badly, ball 1. Bodie last year in his major league debut hit 6 home runs, and 3 of those 6 home runs were either walk-offs or 9th inning game tying home runs. It included that walk-off grand slam against Washington. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Well, the Cubs locked him up. And what some would maybe say a surprising move for a guy that doesn't play every day. But they like his versatility and they like the ability that he has possessed. So you're a young guy in his position. Why not?
Played about 75 major league games, and then it was his idea. He approached the Cubs, said that he liked the long-term security if they were open to it. And so they signed him to that 5-year, $15 million deal this spring. On a 1-2 pitch, he takes in the dirt and the count evens 2-2. Trying to set the table for Castellanos. Lead in the division over the Cubs is 3 games for St. Louis. Lead in the game 5-4, bottom 10. A 2-2. He got him swinging, 2 gone.
Well, for 2-out magic, you got the 2 hitters you want up if you're a Chicago Cubs fan. As as this fastball rides up in the zone away, and you could see him foul tip it into Yadier Molina's glove. I can guarantee you one thing, the leg's going to be going, and he's going to be looking to hit first pitch right away. And if you're Gallegos, you cannot hang a breaking ball first pitch.
What a jolt Nicholas Castellanos has given the Cubs since he was acquired at the deadline. Chance to give him a significant one here. He takes ball one. Gallegos not even coming close to giving him something juicy to hit. More extra base hits than anybody in baseball this season for the pending free agent. Cubs down to their last out. It's 2-0 on Castellanos.
Does a great job. You know, it looks like every pitch he wants to just swing from his heels, but he lays off pitches. The timing of his leg doesn't get him in a rhythm where he's going to be super aggressive no matter where the pitch is. Right now he's keyholing middle in, and if he doesn't see anything close to that, you got to let it go. Other than that, you let it rip.
On 2-0, Castellanos swings and misses, and it's 2-1. Almost swinging himself out of his helmet on a backup breaking pitch.
Good thing it did back up. You see that spin, and the pitch is going the wrong way, and the hitter anticipates after seeing enough breaking balls that in his mind he knows where that's going to end up, and it goes backwards. Oh, if pitchers could only perfect that pitch.
And so it's 2-1. Gallegos deals. Castellanos hits a fly ball to center field. Bader's got room. And the Cardinals in 10 innings on a Matt Carpenter home run win it 5-4.
The wrong part of the park. Anything that to right center wasn't going anywhere.
Boy, what a final hour or so of this game. Jack Flaherty remarkably good over the first 8. Kind of stole the show, but then the Cubs rally in the 9th to force extras. Ultimately, Carpenter's home run wins it. Brewers keep pace with their win earlier today. The Cubs fall to 4 back and a game back at the second wild card spot. 3 hours 40 minutes over this 10-inning game. 5-4 the final score, as Andrew Miller gets credit with a win. We'll wrap things up from Chicago right after these messages.